Chapter 79, Miss Elia. Back at Michael's house, Raylene was trying to wake up Gaia. Gaia would always stuff her belly with the food she put in Michael's kitchen, but when Raylene saw the food she left last night untouched, she became worried. She put the breakfast on the table and gently shook Gaia's shoulder to wake her up. "Wake up, sleepyhead sister." Cindy also accompanied her mother to see Ghost and Gaia. Seeing Gaia was snoring and refusing to wake up, the little girl giggled. After a few seconds, Gaia's senses picked up the aroma of the breakfast as her nose twitched. Slowly she opened her eyes to see Raylene and the tiny human standing before her. "Good morning, Miss Elia." "Good morning, sister." Both mother and daughter greeted her while Gaia stretched out her limbs. "Where is Big Brother Ghost?" Cindy curiously gawked at Michael's room, but when Gaia heard his name, she became annoyed and angered. "That bastard went whoring tiny human." "Miss Elia?" Raylene immediately covered Cindy's ears. The little girl tilted her head and stared at both of them confused. "What?" "She's gonna turn big one day. She's still little to know those things, Miss Elia," Raylene said and looked at Cindy. "Cindy, go play with the others." "Okie dokie," Cindy laughed and hopped outside happily. "What happened, Miss Elia?" "You seem upset." Raylene knew although Gaia had a cold demeanor, she was a warm person inside. It was not like her to scold Michael in front of Cindy and go to sleep without licking the bowls clean. "Am I jealous? Why am I feeling like this?" Ever since she saw Michael and Sadie kissing on the wall, she lost her appetite and was feeling frustrated for some reason. "That bastard can bang whoever he wants. I don't care," she consoled herself and decided to direct her focus on the delicious breakfast before her. Raylene was a teenager and a girl like her before, and she could somehow tell what's going on inside her mind. However, she remained silent because deep down Raylene knew a mortal girl like Elia had no chance with a prodigy like Ghost. She didn't want to fan the feelings inside Elia's hearts with her words and gave her any wrong ideas. She was not eating her with her usual speed, but still, she kept stuffing her mouth. "I'll leave you to it." Raylene gave her some space and left the house, leaving Gaia with her food. "See you later." Michael waved off Sadie and stepped out of the house he occupied for the night. Compared to the first time he came here, now Rivertown seemed less crowded because of the Netheril attack. But he could see many people coming back to the town while he was taking a stroll through the streets. "Master Ghost." "Greetings, young Master Ghost." The people on the streets quickly smiled and greeted him. He smiled back and gave a small nod towards them and continued his morning walk. Before he started the attack on Netheril, some of the Netherils attacked a few buildings and left them in ruins. One of the destroyed buildings was the tavern he stayed in before. As a citizen of Earth, he knew Rivertown is now in for taking, and every destroyed building of the town is free real estate. Particularly, he had his eyes on the tavern building. For some time he was planning to open up a restaurant chain and make Raylene his head chef. The grocery items needed to run the restaurant were not expensive in the system store, and after the upgrade, he had seed packs for a cheaper price. Buying the seed pack and farming the vegetables needed for the restaurant was more plausible than him supplying the vegetables every single day. Even if he bought the vegetables in bulk, they wouldn't be fresh after a few days, and freshness was very crucial to run a successful restaurant. The meat was a whole other matter. The meat he was giving Raylene to cook had arch energy infused in the molecular level by the system. However, if he bought the meat from outside, the taste would not be as good as the meat from the system. If he wanted to control his world from the shadows, he needed money, and businesses like these are a great way to get a stable revenue. Ever since he came to this world with the system, he never forgot to ask himself the question, what if the system went offline? He didn't want to depend on the system too much, and in his mind, the next best thing after the system was money. So he planned to invest his money to make more money. If the system really went offline, it would indeed be a huge blowback from him, but with enough wealth, he could survive and continue his path to reach immortality. "What should I do for the meat situation?" he kept thinking and walking towards the tavern. He knew the system would have an expensive way to solve this issue, but before he asked the system, he picked his mind searching for an alchemical solution. After a few minutes of thinking, he came up with a potion to solve this issue, but he decided not to go with the potion because it required him to set up an animal farm, growing rare herbs, and search for various ingredients that were hard to get. "Hey Snakey," just as he was about to ask, he realized she's not with him. "I do miss that haughty snake, it seems." Michael chuckled and continued his walk. He desired to ask Gaia if there's a way to keep the meat fresh for some time. Considering this world had arch energy and many other things that wouldn't have existed back on Earth, he wanted to find a replacement for the refrigerator. Moments like these made Michael get mad at Abras because Abras had very limited knowledge in stuff like this. He was a very naive youngster who lived a simple, peaceful life until the princess betrayed him. The system does have a solution for the host's problem. Suddenly Michael heard the system's voice inside his head without even opening the system interface. Oh. What is it? System store refrigerator. It will keep the raw ingredients and food fresh for 2 months. In the beginning, Michael would be excited to get a solution from the system, but now, he always looked at the system cautiously as he didn't want to fall for any traps. How much is it? Just 99,999 badass points only. The system's reply halted his steps and made him grit his teeth in frustration at the system. Then he took some deep breaths. System. With enough badass points you can do anything, right? Of course, host. The system exclaimed with a tint of pride in its voice. Then one day I'll make you take a physical form and beat your ass down. Don't be rude, host. The system went silent like it was mad at Michael and didn't speak with him. Eventually, he came in front of the tavern, which was now turned into a ruin by the netheril attack. Before, it was a 2-story building where the ground floor used to be the tavern and the upper floor was allocated for guests to stay the night. Not the upper floor of the building was completely crushed and the ground floor was missing a wall on the side. Most of the tables and chairs were missing as probably the robbers salvaged the place. Young Master Ghost? While he was standing before the building, someone said his name and he turned back to see a girl running to him. He remembered this golden hair girl as the waitress who served him when he was here. Michael could tell the girl was crying by noticing her puffy eyes. Your name? Gloria, is it? Michael remembered her name. The girl was surprised as she nodded. Young Master Ghost still remembers me. Even the onlookers who were staring at Michael from a distance were shocked. No prodigy or a celebrity of Bredia had remembered the name of a commoner before yet. He recalled the name of a waitress like Gloria. She felt honored and the image of him in many people's hearts grew bigger. Young Master Ghost, as you can see, the Lucky Cat Tavern is no more. The next tavern is in Bredia, a few hours walking distance from here. He was not a hero who would go save every person in need of help, but in this case, Gloria was in luck as he had planned to buy this place. Who is the owner of this place and where is he now? Gloria didn't know what his intentions were as she answered truthfully. A couple of rogue netherils killed him, young Master Ghost. Poor Base tried to chase away the netherils and to find this place, but he didn't stand a chance against those vile creatures. What are you going to do for a living now? Michael asked. In his life, he had some moral codes and he all strictly followed them. One of them was, never to help those who don't need help or don't want to be helped, and never to help those who don't appreciate the help, ever. I don't know, young Master Ghost. He knew no idea about her future was the reason for her puffy eyes, and probably she has a family that solely depends on her. Then if I want to buy this place, who should I visit? Chapter 80. Go away, tiny human, I don't want to play with you. Since Michael was not here and they had closed their store today, Gaia was alone and bored. She wanted to have some alone time and deeply think about the unfamiliar feelings she was having since she saw Sadie and Michael together at the wall. However, she was getting nagged by Cindy as the little girl kept asking Gaia to play with her. No matter how many times she had shushed away the little girl, she was leaving her alone. Come on, sister Elia. Play with me. The little girl tightly held onto Gaia's hands and tried to get her up from the sofa using all her strength. Gaia lifted Cindy by the back of her collar while the little girl was laughing and trying to grab Gaia's long hair. Where are your friends? They are with Brother Jack. Jack? What is that little shit doing with them? He. Cindy's childish giggles filled the house as even Gaia couldn't help but slightly smile looking at the little girl's laughter. He's watering Big Brother Ghost's herbal garden. Herbal garden. Seeing Cindy couldn't pronounce herbal, Gaia chuckled. It's not herbal garden, it's called the herbal garden. Because of this little girl, Gaia forgot about everything for a moment and tickled Cindy. He. Sto. See. He. Don't you want to play with me? Cindy was wiggling like a fish out of the water, but Gaia kept tickling her, showing no mercy. Just when the two of them were playing, the door opened as Michael walked in with his usual smile. Big Brother. Like a puppy saw its owner, Cindy wiggled out of Gaia's grab and ran to him. The little girl leaped as Michael lifted her up. Who's a good girl? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Michael threw the girl up and down in the air and played with her. While he was playing with Cindy, Michael noticed the gloomy look on Gaia's face. Cindy, go play with your friends. I have something to take care of. Will you play with me later? The girl showed him the puppy eyes. Yes, I will play with you later. Now run alone. Cindy bounced in joy and left the house with a brightened face. After seeing the girl's figure disappear from his sight, he turned to look at the Gaia who was sitting straight on the sofa while avoiding direct eye contact with him. He walked to her and sat beside her to see her squirming away from him. He again moved to sit beside her as she also again moved away from him. Looking at her silly behavior, he grabbed her by her hand as she turned around angrily. So, are you going to tell me why you are in such a bad mood? I'm not in a bad mood. She was a pretty good liar, but now, she lied like an amateur. I know what this is about. You're mad because of what happened between me and Sadie on the wall. He was not a naive guy, and in fact, he already knew Gaia was jealous and she only didn't realize it yet. Why would I be mad? You can screw whoever you want, I simply don't care. But you do, and that's why you're acting like this. Why don't you just woman up and say what's on your mind, like a princess of Nagaland? By speaking these words, Michael touched her nerve as she furiously took a few breaths and decided to give him a piece of her mind. Yes, I'm mad at you. You left me and Jack alone on the wall with that slut. Did you think about how we travel back to the sect carrying all the gold coins? What if I get robbed on the way? If you were my friend, you would have thought about my safety. Michael was slightly surprised by her words. Then when he noticed the 52% loyalty, he realized she has now started to consider him as a friend. It's time to increase her loyalty, Michael told himself. Did you really think I would let anything happen to you? If I didn't care about your safety, I would have handed you over to your sister. You think so less of me. I'm really hurt. Gaia was taken aback by surprise and shock. She didn't think her words would impact him in such a way as she saw him really get sad. The more she looked at his sad face, the less mad she felt at him. Human, she tried to console him, but he stood up and went straight into his room. Did I really hurt him? Staring blankly at the closed door, she asked herself. Her anger now faded away after seeing the way he reacted. She had never seen him like this and it really bothered her. System, how did I do? Not bad, host, but you should consider buying the book of acting from the system store. Back inside his room, Michael's sad face was instantly replaced by a proud grin. He turned the table and increased Gaia's loyalty by 2%. System, in the future only recommend me things that I can actually buy. Noted. For a couple of hours, Michael stayed inside and made several batches of pills of potions to restock the Majestic and keep the business going while he's attending the auction that Sadie told him about. Now I should make one more pill. He picked out a few ingredients and started to concoct the pill. A few minutes after the concoction, a blood-red pill floated above his hand and radiated a pungent smell. No pain, no gain, he mumbled and put the pill back in the system storage. Human. He heard Gaia's voice coming from the other side of the door. Heartless girl, she took this long to make a move. He quickly put his sad face on and said, What are you still doing here? Didn't you say we aren't friends anymore? He intentionally spoke these words to make her panic. I never said that. Just like he planned, she slammed open the door and hastened into the room. You fucking liar, when did I speak those words? She really panicked, thinking he wouldn't care for her anymore and stop making the pills to cure her. Earlier when he sat beside her, she kept moving away from him, but now, she sat very close to him on his bed. His reaction and words totally agitated her. I lied to you before when I said I don't care about what happened between you and that bitch, human. I know, but I don't understand why you are pissed off about that. Hearing Michael's question, she had no direct answer to give him as she sighed. Honestly, I don't know why. Maybe I hate those bitches in Silvermoon too much. He could tell she was telling the truth by looking at her eyes. Although Michael understood what she had been feeling was a sort of jealousy, he chose not to ponder too much, and instead, he directed the topic towards where he could exploit her jealousy to increase her loyalty. You hate everyone. No, I don't, she pursed her lips and said. She then stared at him for a couple of seconds and said, I don't hate you. It took a great amount of strength for her to admit this, as she had never had a friend or someone close to her before like Michael. So you're saying we are still friends? Words had power, and by making her admit their friendship, he wanted to increase her loyalty. Yes, we are still friends. Ding! Congratulations to the host. Subordinate Gaia reached 60% loyalty. Now we are talking. The system notification made him grin inside. I still don't like the fact you chose to bang Sadie. Those evil sluts will drain your arch energy and damage your meridians. Didn't you hear what Sadie said? It was old-fashioned lovemaking. There was no harm except the slight pain in my muscles. Gross, stop talking about that. She furiously rolled her eyes and punched him on the shoulder. Go change your clothes, you bastard, you stink of that slut. If you want to see me naked, you can stay here. The moment she heard these words, she leaped out of his bed and rushed outside before yelling at him with her usual haughty tone. Who wants to see you naked except that Sadie bitch? Alright, this chapter took longer than I expected to write because of all the dialogues and stuff. I know this might be boring, but I had to write this chapter to keep the story flow naturally as well as show the friendship blooming between two lone wolves. The real badass action-packed fun begins from the Chapter 81 System Version 2. 0 Host, Michael Cultivation Level, Body Refining Stage, Level 7 Experience Points, 95,000/200000 Badass Points, 18,000 Skills and Spells, Wind Blast, LVL2 Responsive Shield, LVL3 Environment Scanning, LVL2 Ignitia, LVL1 Lightning Dash, LVL1 Energy Devour, LVL1 Death Range, LVL1 Techniques. Swords of Destiny, 78% Mastery Occupation. Core Disciple of Sunrise Sect, the Guardian of Sunrise Sect Status. Healthy Goals. Control the World Utility Function. Banker, LVL2. Ratio, 1,000 Gold Coins, 5. Badass Points. Wealth. 700,000 Gold Special Trait. 5-star Alchemist Subordinates. Gaia, Loyalty Level 60%. Base of Operation. Sunrise Sect, System. Consume the experience points I got from the Netherals. He rubbed his hands together and entered the system. He was excited to reach the next levels and face stronger enemies. The host has killed 20 Body Refining Stage Netherals, 30 Body Strengthening Stage Netherals, and 25 Foundation Stage Netherals. Ding! The host has received 100,000 experience points for killing 20 Body Refining Stage Netherals. Ding! The host has received 210,000 experience points for killing 30 Body Strengthening Stage Netherals. Ding! The host has received 75,000 experience points for killing 25 Foundation Stage Netherals. 385,000 experience points. Not bad at all. He was pleased to see the amount of experience he got after slaughtering all those stinking Netherals. Even though the night with Sadie was a great bonus, it didn't make him happy as the experience points which would make him reach the next levels without months of cultivation. He was not done yet as he retrieved the cores he collected from the Netherals. The fist-sized cores were extremely fragile and some of them shattered when they hit the ground. In the system store, he had 10 bod refining Netheral cores, 18 body strengthening Netheral cores, and 15 formation stage Netheral cores. Does the host wish to activate the Energy Devourer and consume the cores? The host would get 1,000 to 2,000 experience per one formation stage core. The host would get 300 to 400 experience per one body refining stage core. The host would get 400 to 600 experience per one body strengthening stage core. The system informed him of the number of experience points he would get by consuming the cores using the Energy Devourer. Leave the formation stage cores and consume the others. The system soon activated the Energy Devourer and one by one, the Netheral cores disappeared from the system storage. Experience points converted 30,000. When all the body refining stage cores disappeared, the system notified him and continued to consume the rest of the cores. Experience points converted 90,000. 120,000, huh? I feel like I should have gotten more from them. The experience points received from the cores vary depending on the quality of the core host. Next time, consider going after the head rather than fighting the cannon folders. The system sounded like it was bothered by Michael's decision not to go after the sorcerer. I know what I'm doing, system. The sorcerer must have been a core formation cultivator to get pursued by Alex and Selena. If I went into the forest chasing the sorcerer, not only I would have lost all these experience points and badass points, I may have also ended up in neck-deep trouble. No offense to you, system, but I don't want to depend on you too much. Still, the host should have taken a risk. Agree to disagree. He didn't want to keep arguing with the system and explain everything on his mind. He very well knew that the system wants him to take risks because risks may require him to spend more badass points. What are we waiting for? Let's begin the breakthrough process. Congratulations to the host for leveling up. The current stage is Body Refining Stage Level 8. Congratulations to the host for leveling up. The current stage is Body Refining Stage Level 9. Congratulations to the host for leveling up. The current stage is Body Refining Stage Level 10. The surge of power inside his body warmed his body. He could feel that his strength had increased by at least 2 times than before. Coupled with his own strength and the responsive shield, he could defeat a Body Strengthening Stage Level 7 and fight without sustaining major injuries with a Level 8 cultivator. After killing all those netherals, he had already made enormous progress in his cultivation level. Moreover, his mastery of swords went from 70% to 78%. However, what made him really excited was the number of badass points, 18,000 badass points. After earning a few more thousands of badass points, he could finally settle the debt of 22,000 badass points he got from the system and be debt-free. Regarding gold coins, he earned nearly 300,000 gold coins by selling the healing potions to the injured disciples. Many disciples also bought more than they needed for future use. Michael recalled clearly how Gaia's evil mind had contributed significantly to his wealth. Among the 75 killings, Gaia killed almost 25 netherals and injured many more using her new weapon, the Bow of Legolas. She was turning into a valuable asset and a friend to him. He couldn't wait to see what she can do after he heals her and restore her cultivation level. At that point, he would have a core formation level bodyguard. Okay, let's do some shopping. He opened the system store with another badass costume in his mind. The system automatically filtered everything and showed only the items that he could afford. In front of his eyes, there were many unique costumes as well as iconic costumes from the movies and video games. He saw Squall Leonhart's costume, the Robin costume from the 80s, and many more, but none of them wowed him like the one particular costume that's floating before him. It was none other than the Matrix 1999 movie costume. The current one in his storage was the Neo costume of Matrix Reloaded, and the one in front of him was the Neo costume from the first installment of the Matrix series. He had a weak spot for cool costumes and without bitching at the system, he bought the complete costume for 1,000 badass points. Yet, he was not done with shopping as he still had some tweaks to do to the costume. System, I need back-mounted dual sword sheath, black of course. Luckily the sword sheaths he asked for only cost him 200 badass points and it fitted perfectly with his new costume. He then removed gun holsters on the trouser and the sunglasses because he realized he would look weird with sunglasses in this world. But he didn't completely rule out wearing sunglasses. This is going to make me look like such a badass, with wasting no time. He put on his new clothes and exited the system. Awesome! Although the system showed him how he would look, seeing himself in the mirror still gave him goosebumps and feasted his narcissistic personality. Especially the X-shaped swords on his back made him look more badass. He realized it's a good thing that Gaia took the bow because a quiver on his back would have messed up his style and ruined the look. Sling. The two swords let out a little slinging sound when he unsheathed them from the back. If he didn't reach 78% mastery with swords, he would have cut the back of his neck or his hair when unsheathing. It was considerably difficult to unsheathe the swords from the back compared to unsheathing from the waist holder, but one couldn't deny that it looks badass to unsheath from the back. I'm still missing something. Since he would always take a long time before the mirror, he realized that something's missing and finally found the problem. System, how much is tactical fingerless gloves? Really? 300 badass points. For a moment, even the system lost its cool seeing him take this long to get ready. He would always get yelled at by Gaia for taking a long time before the mirror, and now he even made the system mad. However, the system quickly returned to its usual self and stated the price before he changed his mind about buying the gloves. The system presented him with the black tactical fingerless gloves as he put them on to finish his look. Now I'm ready to attend this auction. Since he already sent Daniel to assist Gloria in rebuilding the Lucky Cat Tavern, he left Ricky in charge of the Majestic while he and Gaia are away. If someone tried to mess with his business, then it was a job for Lucifer to take care of. I'm receiving some cool suggestions from you readers in my Discord. I hope you'll make time to join the server and share your thoughts about the novel. Also, if you want to see how the characters in the book look like, the link is in the synopsis. I'm grateful for the Power Stones and the gifts you've been giving me, my wonderful readers. Chapter 82 Took you long, Inu. What the fuck? How? Shit, you're freak. When he opened the door, Gaia came rolling her eyes and started to yell, but her face froze in shock. Her words stuttered as she looked at him horrified. It took her a few seconds to come out of her shock and opened her mouth. War God body is so overpowered. She came closer and circled him while feeling his new clothes with her hands. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 500 badass points. She was impressed by his new clothes, hence, he was awarded 500 badass points. Then after circling him for a few more seconds, she came before him and put her hands on the waist, and asked, "Does it kill you to wear something not black?" "I'll stop wearing black when someone creates a darker color," he said and made his way towards the door as she followed him behind. "Where are you going?" We are going to Sartan, to participate in the Phoenix auction. Now. I still haven't eaten my lunch yet, Michael sighed hearing her protest. She was becoming more and more addicted to Raylene's cooking, and this time, he was really afraid she would get fat or worse, a heart attack. Besides, what's the rush? The auction main starts on the day after tomorrow. Even if we leave from here tomorrow morning, we'll reach Sartan by evening. I heard merchants from all over the kingdom will set up their shops before the main auction begins. I want to check them out. At least let me pack some snacks for the journey. She didn't even wait for his answer as she began to run towards Raylene's house. She was clearly afraid that he wouldn't let her have her snacks. You're gonna get fat soon, he shouted at her. Fuck you. Because she had no arch energy to amplify her voice, she used her full body strength to yell at him while running. Michael couldn't help but chuckle, and he made his way towards Claire's place to inform her about his departure. Plus, he wanted to tell her to look after the Majestic's business while he's away as Ricky was still pretty weak. Right at this moment, a Pegasus was soaring through the clouds carrying 2 persons on its back. Hey, don't eat all of them. Leave me some, you greedy bastard. Michael was sitting behind her and let her fly the Pegasus. Both of her hands on the rein, and it made it easy to steal her snacks. Wow, this meat pie is really delicious. He intentionally teased her and took a bite out of the pie. I'm gonna drop you down if you don't leave my snacks alone. Snacks. You have enough food to feed 3 people for 3 days. Let me see, apple pies, meat pies, chicken drumsticks, lamb shanks, stuffed veggie rolls, egg rolls, and what are these? Biscuits and puddings? The space ring he gave her now is stuffed with foods, and he wondered how the hell is she going to finish all these foods. Now I understand why I have to restock the kitchen every freaking 2 days. Stop looking into my things, you creep. She tried to grab the ring, but she was unable to let go of the reins. This is why I didn't tell you that I bought the Lucky Cat Tavern. Earlier he told her that he bought the Lucky Cat Tavern for 5,000 gold coins. At first, she growled for not discussing with her his plans, but when he told her he's planning to transform the tavern into a high-end restaurant, she stopped bitch about it. Then cure me quickly so I can cultivate again. We can't rush your treatment. I'll take some time, but until then, don't die by eating too much. With this mouth of yours, you'll only get sluts like Sadie. Even they would chase you away if you say things that you shouldn't say to a girl. But Sadie didn't chase me away, instead. Gross. Stop talking and at least give me a piece of the apple pie. The mouth-watering aroma was too much for Gaia to resist and wanted to stuff her mouth with that delicious pie. All right. Quit whining and open your mouth. Michael sighed and stuffed her mouth with the apple pie. And on the rest of the journey, both of them experienced the goodness of Raylene's food. Hey, why aren't we landing? After a few more hours of flying, Michael could see more and more human-made buildings appear below after the thick forest canopy, yet Gaia kept flying towards the vast ocean on the horizon. The Phoenix Auction Island is on an island. Oh? The duo continued flying with great speed, rushing toward the ocean. A few more hours later, they had arrived at the border of the ocean. In front of them was a vast ocean, and he could only see water that stretched to the ends of the earth. While they were flying above the ocean, they bumped into a lot of people along their way. Michael maintained a low profile to avoid unnecessary troubles along the way. I want to travel across this crystal ocean, Gaia said, impressed. Tell me more. What can I say? The Avetica realm is extremely vast. There are tens of thousands of territories here, and its size is unmeasurable. Although Abras learned about the territories and geography of this world called Avetica realm, Michael knew the information Abras learned might be old and wanted to get the more current information through Gaia. Besides the Elan, Azer, Aur, and Midrand continents, there are also a lot of vast oceans and tiny islands. This crystal ocean separates the Elan continent and the Azer continent. We are just at the border of the Elan, but there is still a great way to go until we reach Phoenix Island, said Gaia. It seems like these people are also heading to the auction. Michael threw his glance at the people flying in front of them. Most of the people were in groups of 3 to 5 men. Some of them rode on flying demon beasts, and some wore the same clothes and had more people in their group compared to the other. Those people were clearly from some big powers. This could also be seen from the prideful expressions on their faces. Are you searching for a dragon? She looked over her shoulder to see him gawking at all the flying beasts and realized he's searching for a dragon. She knew his fantasy about getting a dragonling and she hoped he wouldn't find one because Nagas and dragons had a long rivalry between them. Stop looking for a freaking dragon and keep your guard up. Although the place is full of people, the Crystal Ocean is still a place filled with dangers, Splash! The water suddenly splashed underneath them as a huge red shark leaped out from the water with its mouth wide open. Holy shit! Michael realized what she meant by dangers when he saw the shark swallow a solo cultivator who was flying on a sword. Poor bastard leaped out of the ocean wasting energy to get that bony human. She pitied the shark instead of the man who just became an appetizer to the shark. Just fly faster. The shark he just saw was a body-strengthening stage beast, and although he could fight the shark, he didn't want to because the shark had the home advantage, the sea. The fuck are you looking at? Never seen a girl fly a Pegasus before? Bitch, what's your problem? Along the way, she was quick enough to antagonize a few people who stared at her. Because of her low cultivation level, they threw a scornful look and she immediately replied to them in her style until Michael twitched her ear. Ah! Keep your mouth shut, you damn snake. Michael felt really helpless. Fortunately, the few youngsters she cursed were weaker than him. Still, Michael didn't want to offend them because of her nasty mouth. It's physically impossible for me to keep my mouth shut when they look at me like that, she said. Then I will shut it for you, how about that? He playfully choked her from behind and shook her. Okay, I'll try to be quiet, she said and flew with extreme speed. In just a few minutes, they had ditched all those people behind. Soon after, they saw another group of people in front of them. The group seemed to be discussing something. Gaia and Michael sped up and eventually got closer to them. It's Lord Julius who owns Phoenix Auction House as well as this entire Phoenix Island. I heard he is extremely rich and has many beautiful girls in his harem, someone said. Yeah, no shit. With just the trade fair between the two continents, he's able to earn an enormous amount of wealth and resources. Despite being a demi-human, he has good relationships with many of the influential people in both Elon and Azair. Chapter 83. Hearing this, Michael and Gaia exchanged glances. He owns the entire island, huh? Michael started at the large island on the distance as Gaia noticed the desire in his eyes. Having a big ambition is good, but just don't let it consume you, human. Julius holds major auctions and has many trade deals going on. Each event he holds is massive, and it took them years to set up this operation. This is one of those massive events where many great warriors from different powers in the continent will participate. A lot of rare and unique treasures can be found here, and many shady deals will take part on this island. So if you want to become rich like Julius, first you must become more powerful. Michael nodded and agreed with Gaia. She was right. He's still too weak to expand his businesses on a scale like the Phoenix Manor. Man, this place is getting crowded. I'm sure most of these youngsters are going into the Nether Realm. Not only that, I heard this time there will be more rare treasures. Lord Julius is using this event to expand his influence, therefore, he's putting some of his valuable possessions to attract powerful people. Of course, even the big sects will send someone over. And there might even be someone from the House of Edrine and royal family. I wonder how much is the entry fee to participate in the auction this time? I bet it won't be a small fee. Sigh. This is really making me jealous. Michael listened to the conversations around him discreetly, and from these conversations alone, he gained a basic understanding of Julius and the Phoenix Island. It had also made him want to expand his influence and businesses. For the next few hours, more and more warriors could be seen flying toward Phoenix Island. Most of them came from the various kingdoms in the Elan continent, and the rest seemed to have come from the Azair continent as well as islands on the Crystal Ocean. All of these strange men wore distinctive clothes and none of them were weak. The majority of them were core formation and body-strengthening stage cultivators. All of these people were heading in the same direction for a single purpose: to participate in the main auction. The ocean waves were rumbling, wave after wave, and the occasional furious roars emerged from the sea, followed by people emerging from the sea. They looked like humans, but when looked closer, they had a shiny thin layer on their skin. When beasts like the red shark who were causing trouble in the ocean sensed the powerful auras radiated from the people who emerged from the sea, they immediately hid underneath the ocean's surface, not daring to show their heads. Whistle. From Ubra's memories, he knew the existence of the people who live in the ocean, but when he saw them with his own eyes, he was still surprised by them. Look at those arrogant sea fuckers in front of Michael, Gaia growled at the sea folks. They both continued to fly towards the Phoenix Island and passed a lot of islands along their way. Some of the islands had splendid sceneries and looked like paradises on top of the ocean. Michael was mind mapping all those beautiful islands as he wanted to occupy at least a bunch of them. This ocean and all those islands look gorgeous. Michael was amazed. Not only that, did you feel the dense arch energy? It's one of the many reasons that the Crystal Ocean is home to many wondrous treasures. However, I find this place boring. I want excitement and this place has none, she rolled her eyes and said. A little while later, they both came much closer to Phoenix Island and saw the majestic island floating on the ocean. Under the sunlight's shine, the entire island was glowing brightly. Floating above the ocean's surface, with Michael's extraordinary eyesight, he could see the island slightly resembles a sleeping eagle as well as a white fog hovering in the sky above the island. "Welcome to Phoenix Island," Gaia said. Michael could see the entire island from the back of the Pegasus. It was almost a month since he came to this world and this world is still surprising him. There were no sky-high skyscrapers or man-made wonders, but this world was a painting painted by Mother Nature herself. The scene before him enchanted him with its beauty. Lofty and strong pine trees and palm trees stood everywhere. There was a magnificent waterfall constantly pounding the rocks underneath, and white fog covered the entire ocean, causing the island to look like a paradise on top of the ocean. On top of those, the trees with red and golden leaves added more charm and color to the scenery. Just the view alone pleased everyone's spirits and made their hearts feel relaxed. "Dang, I want to enjoy my immortality in a place like this," he couldn't help but praise. "I can't argue with that. This place really does looks beautiful." Gaia appreciated it as well. The man who picked this island was truly someone who knows how to enjoy life. "Right, now we have to wait for someone to come out and give permission to enter the island." Gaia took her hands away from the rain and started to rummage through her space ring to find the right snack. Both of them relaxedly sat on top of the Pegasus and munched on the food they brought. Gaia brought. Right at this moment, more than 100 people had gathered around the island. They all hovered above the surface of the ocean in small groups, and there were more people arriving. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. During the next few hours, more and more people arrived. Regardless of where they came from, none of them dared break the rules set down for Phoenix Island. Before the trade fair started, no one would step onto the island. Bang! All of a sudden, a loud explosive sound could be heard from behind. Above them, the storm clouds appeared out of nowhere and darkened the place. From those dark storm clouds, a figure appeared in the sky above like a sudden clap of thunder. They could see that it was actually a quite majestic figure. This man looked to be in his late 30s and seemed he was at least 7 feet tall. He adorned in dark brown robes with thick fur around his shoulders and neck while his long brown hair fluttered in the wind. Core-strengthening warrior. Michael mumbled as this was the first time he had seen a core-strengthening warrior. Without even fighting him, Michael could tell this man could easily kill him. Victor Hagen? I never expected to see him here. Gaia recognized the person, and before Michael could ask more about him, the people around him began to chatter. Even Victor is here. Is it true that he's a lonely cultivator? Yeah, but no one dares to mess with him. Even the big sects and the noble families in Elan treat him with caution and respect. This time, the Nether auction is turning out to be something big. I have a feeling that Victor isn't the only core-strengthening warrior we'll see here. Those big sects will definitely send their core-strengthening warriors here as well. Unlike before, Michael had to listen more closely as they were whispering to each other. They were scared that if they spoke too loud, they might offend Victor in some way. A core-strengthening warrior was not someone they could afford to offend. This was power. This was fear. The dark storm clouds disappeared after a few moments as Victor moved towards the island. He didn't even look at the crowd. He just walked toward Phoenix Island unlike the rest of them. None of them stopped him or dared to speak any words. When Michael looked at Gaia, even she remained quiet and stopped chewing the food inside her mouth. "Welcome to Phoenix Island, Lord Victor." A crystal-clear voice suddenly sounded out from Phoenix Island. In the next moment, everyone saw a bright beam shoot out from the island. To everyone's surprise, it was a young girl. Of course, she looked amazingly beautiful, and her 2 big eyes were brimming with energy. She wore a sparkling red gown and top. What surprised Michael was not her beauty but her cultivation level. She was a core formation level 7 cultivator. "Where is your lord?" Victor's voice was imposing. The girl bowed towards him and smiled, but Victor already moved past her before she could answer him. Too bad we're not eligible for such preferential treatment like Victor. Someone really envied Victor and the preferential treatment he received. He was personally received by someone who's close to Julius and entered the island paying nothing. Wait till you break through to the core strengthening stage and I'm sure you'll get the same VIP treatment then. Chapter 84 Swoosh. All of a sudden, a loud cry was heard from a distance. When everyone glanced at the source of this cry, they immediately saw a huge gray ape with a powerful aura flying toward them. It carried several men on its back, and a couple of them were old men. The remaining were young men. The old men were at the core formation stage while the youngsters were at the body strengthening stage. The leader of this group seemed to be in his 50s, and his aura was the strongest amongst the group. Michael could tell the man was just a few more months cultivation away from reaching the core strengthening stage level 2. Although he couldn't be compared to Victor, who was at the core strengthening stage level 5. He was still a mighty existence. All of them wore the same bluish robes and their eyes were filled with anger. They didn't seem too friendly, but it was as if they could kill anyone at any time. "Hey, who are these guys?" Michael nudged Gaia and asked. "They are from the Spring Garden sect." It was not as big and powerful as the three big sects, but they weren't that weak either, she said, but Michael could see the slight frown on her face. Why did they send their elder to the auction instead of one of the teachers? They look pissed off, she nodded, hearing Michael, and continued. Their leading man is Porter Findlay, and you're right, they do seem pissed off. I wonder why. Just like the both of them, many had the same question running in their mind, but fortunately, a few of them had the answer. "You don't know what happened? I heard some of their inner disciples were killed by someone in White Jungle during some mini-event organized by the Guardian Guild. All of them were body-strengthening stage level 2 cultivators. And one of the disciples was Milan Finley, Porter Finley's grandson. Holy shit, the Guardian Guild. And who the hell dared to kill a Finley? Whoever killed him is simply courting death. No wonder why Porter looks so mad. It's all because his grandson was killed by someone. People were discussing the events everywhere. He, finally some entertainment." Gaia giggled and watched the scene, munching on those snacks like she was watching a film. The men from the Spring Garden sect walked off from the ape. The gray ape furrowed its brows as if it had just smelled something familiar. The ape gawked around the area and stared at every single one of them, including Michael. After looking around for some time, the ape stopped looking. It couldn't find anything as there were too many people around. "You guys just wait here until the main auction starts," Porter Finley told the disciples from the Spring Garden sect. Then he simply floated toward the Phoenix Island. This was the preferential treatment given to a core strengthening stage warrior. Not only could they enter the Phoenix Island whenever they wanted, but they would also be welcome to stay as long as they wish. "What's up, y'all bitches? Your daddy Paul Berry has come to bless y'all with my presence." Following a sudden roar of laughter, a bald old man with a couple of beauties around him came from far away and landed next to Porter. "Yo Porter, I heard your grandson is visiting the heavens. Congratulations." What old Paul said nearly caused the crowd to spit out their saliva. Porter's grandson just died, but this old man not only laughed at him but also congratulated Porter. "Get lost." Porter stared back at Paul like he was going to rip Paul's throat out. Haha. Still, Paul laughed out to his heart's content. After that, he just went straight to Phoenix Island. Clearly, he wasn't afraid of Porter or didn't care about his feelings. "This old fucker hasn't changed a bit," Gaia said with a little chuckle. "You know him?" "Yeah, we crossed paths a couple of times. He's actually a rogue cultivator, just like Victor. The last time I met him, he was at the core strengthening stage level 1, and now it seems like he reached level 2. He seems like a funny guy," Michael laughed. "Don't be fooled by his playful demeanor, human. That old man is dangerous, very dangerous," Gaia warned Michael, and by the seriousness of her tone, he nodded and took a note in his mind. "Why don't I see any familiar faces from Breedia?" he whispered to Gaia. He was shocked after seeing so many powerful warriors and wondered where the disciples from the big sects. "What's the big deal about Breedia? The last time I checked, there are 5 kingdoms in Elan and Breedia is the weakest one. If this auction was exclusive for Breedia, those fuckers would have come first showing off, but now, they just another disciple, not a celebrity disciple. Of course I'm in the weakest part in the weakest kingdom in the weakest continent." Michael rolled his eyes. Just like many main characters, he was dropped in the weakest place possible and had to start from the bottom. However, after accessing his current strength and the powerful people around him, he would rather choose to start from the bottom than getting his ass kicked in the powerful regions of the continent. Besides, he could make a name for himself quickly in Breedia, and earn more badass points than if he was in powerful kingdoms. However, he wanted to increase his strength as soon as possible and visit those powerful places because by impressing powerful people, he could earn a significant amount of badass points compared to Breedia. "Look. What now?" Both Gaia and Michael had enough of people making fancy entrances showing off their superiority and wealth. Michael looked at the horizon to see a huge silver sword over 30 meters long was soaring toward them. The speed of the sword caused the water to spatter like a speedboat wherever it passed. The sword's size made Michael raise his brows as this sword was the biggest sword he had ever seen. It was over 30 meters long. A group of men and women remained firm upon the sword and each of them wore prideful expressions on their faces. The group all wore glimmering silver clothes, and they all carried a miniature version of the huge sword on their waists. They are from the Aragoth, one of the powerful sects in the entire Elan continent. Hurry up and make way for them, I don't want to be in their way and skewed by that giant sword. Yeah, let's move away. Even the royal family of Elan anyone from Aragoth with respect because of their sect master. Why won't they? He's is one of the few people in Elan who reached the soul refining stage. I heard that a prodigy disciple from Aragoth was killed by a young man named Winston in the Red Summit. That Winston is either really brave or stupid to offend the Aragoth. Aragoth isn't the only power he dared to offend. He even killed an elder from the House of Nickmon. The House Nickmon is one of the major powers in the Kingdom Kethan. Rumors say that this guy ruthlessly killed countless body refining and body strengthening stage cultivators from great powers inside the White Jungle. What's the most shocking thing is, he was just a body refining stage level 4 cultivator when he killed them. What a freak. Would you believe he's also a 3-star alchemist? Are kidding me? How old is he? I heard he's just reached 21. How can he be talented at such a young age? I wonder what this Winston looks like. Someone told me that an ice-cold angelic beauty always follows him around. If you see a young man with a girl like that, it is definitely Noah. After the men from Aragoth arrived, the topic switched to Winston, and by hearing all these conversations, even Michael and Gaia were curious about him. Human, I think you met your match. Gaia teased him with a nudge to his elbow. Another core strengthening stage cultivator. Michael ignored Gaia's tease and stared at the old man who was standing in front of the group. Not long after the people of Aragoth arrived, a few more powerful auras could be sensed from a distance. Another group of men were flying toward the island standing on top of a circular object. These men also had the same overbearing and prideful expressions as the men and women of Aragoth. They are from the House Nickmon. This auction is indeed turning out to be a massive event. Many people started exclaiming. A scene like this was certainly a rare one. Chapter 85. A few minutes later, when the sky got slightly darker, a loud explosive sound reverberated the crystal ocean, indicating the beginning of the event. Dozens of men wearing golden armors appeared beside the girl. All of them had imposing auras, and although their cultivation bases weren't powerful, they were at least at the peak body strengthening stage level 10. Only the leading guard who had a bigger armor was a core formation warrior. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nether auction is going to begin soon. If you want to enter Phoenix Island and partake in the event, you'll have to obey the rules set down by our Lord Julius and pay 50,000 gold coins as the entry fee. The girl spoke with a crystal clear voice, making sure that every single warrior here could hear what she said. What, 50,000 per person? This is ridiculous. I remember it only cost 10,000 coins last time. Why did the price go up by 5 times? Fuck, there are so many people here. There are hundreds of people here, and just by this entry fee, he's going to become filthy rich. Just as the girl finished speaking, the entire scene became chaotic. The entrance fee was being 5 times higher than usual made many people growl and express their frustrations. This is the new rules set by our master. If you aren't willing to pay, you can just leave now. No one here will force you to pay. The girl spoke once more, and this time, she sounded cold and distant. Haha, it's just measly 50,000 coins per person, that's not too much. Miss, here are 500,000 for all of us. A core formation youngster from the Agaroth said with a burst of proud laughter. He led all the disciples from his sect to the girl. Then he casually tossed the pay cube to the girl. We welcome the Agaroth to Phoenix Island. The girl transferred the amount and handed over the pay cube back to the youngster. After that, she replied to the disciples with a smile on her face. 500,000, just like that. Michael muttered. Compared to those superpowers like the Agaroth, he and his base of operation, the Sunrise sect was just too inferior. Yeah, fuck it. A rogue cultivator casually walked over and handed his pay cube over to the girl. After that, he flew towards the island, passing the girl and the guards. Following the Aragoth and the rogue cultivator, more and more people started paying the entrance fee. Although Julius increasing the price left some people with frustration and jealousy, the majority of the people didn't really mind that much, as they chose to pay and enter the island. Since they had traveled far to get here, and no one wanted to return empty-handed because of 50,000 gold coins. Human, do we really have to enter the island giving our hard-earned coins? Gaia asked as Michael took a deep breath. We didn't come all this way to return now, let's just pay the fee and enter the island. Gaia sighed and took the reins to move forward towards the girl. Just when Michael and Gaia were about to pay the girl, a powerful roar reverberated through the crystal ocean. Stop right there. With many others, Michael and Gaia also turned in the voice's direction to see the gray ape pointing its finger at someone in the crowd. The gray ape moved its body and arrived in front of an old man and an old woman. The duo of old people didn't seem suspicious at all until the ape started to point fingers at them. They are the ones. The disturbance immediately alerted many of the people around as many eyes looked at the ape and the old people and wondered what the cause of the conflict was. Minnie, what's going on? Looking at the sudden response of the gray ape, all the disciples from the Spring Garden sect came forth and threw their glances at the old man and the old woman. They are the ones who killed Milan and the others. They were all killed by him. The ape's words attracted almost everyone's attention. Many people here who came from Kingdom Draddle heard the news about Milan's death. Most of them really wanted to know who was brave enough to kill the Spring Garden sect elder's grandson. Instead of showing any signs of panic or urge to flee, the old man before the ape unveiled a small grin on his face. I told you this is not going to work, Alicia, the old man calmly said and closed his eyes for a moment. The next moment, the wrinkles on his skin disappeared as his whole body transformed into a vigorous youth. His raven-black hair fluttered in the wind while his brown robes became pure white. Many girls felt their heartbeat rise and many men couldn't help but become jealous of his perfect tanned body and the jaw-dropping handsome face. While everyone was stunned at the transformation of this youth, the old woman beside him closed her eyes. Just like what happened to the old man, she also started to transform into an angelic beauty. Wow! Many gasped for air when they saw the golden hair beauty beside the youth. Standing on top of a flying sword, the girl radiated an aura of a goddess, and coupled with her ice-cold look, she became an unparalleled beauty in many people's minds. Even Michael had to appreciate the youth's tastes when it comes to women. Ever since he met Gaia, he saw no girl more beautiful than her, but now, he found a girl who could be compared to even Gaia in terms of beauty. The ape was even more certain when he saw the girl. During the last few hours, it had sensed a familiar aura lingering within the air. But, because there were too many people around and the fact that both were in disguises, it couldn't discover them. However, when the crowd started moving, it was luckily able to discover the killers of Milan and the other Spring Garden's disciples. It's you, Noah. How dare you kill our brothers? Go tell Elder Porter that we found his grandson's killer. Spring Garden disciples were boiling in anger as their killing intent was soaring. They immediately surrounded the youth and the girl. He is completely done for. Killing is prohibited inside the premises of Phoenix Island, but technically they still haven't entered the Phoenix Island. So there's nothing stopping Porter from killing those 2-inch. Pass me those biscuits. The few people near Michael and Gaia raised their brows and stared at her while she was munching on the biscuits and watching the scene. Michael, who was watching the scene, calmly became curious to know how Noah is going to handle the situation. While watching the calmness on Noah's face despite the shit he was in and the sword on his back as well as his 3-star alchemist status made Michael think of him as his rival. The ape then turned his eyes towards the girl and spoke. Ha ha ha, we are going to have such a Giaradash. But suddenly it stopped talking. Michael saw a bright beam shoot out from Noah's body and the next moment, the pervy ape was sliced in half by the bright beam. It was separated into 2 parts, then it fell into the ocean, staining the surrounding water with blood. Respect women. Noah only spoke those 2 words with a cruel tone. He had just killed another one from the Spring Garden sect, yet there was no panic or any signs of an urge to flee on his face. Just this attitude alone impressed even Michael. No one expected this would happen. Noah was brave enough to kill another one from the Spring Garden sect on the spot. In their minds, he should be apologizing to them right now, because not only was he outnumbered, there was also a core strengthening stage elder around somewhere in the island. Even though Noah was a body refining stage level 5 cultivator, Michael had a feeling that none of the Spring Garden disciples are his match. The girl named Alicia also radiated an aura of a powerful cultivator despite her body refining stage level 4 cultivation. In Michael's mind, they seemed like an ideal novel MC and a female lead. One was a peerless handsome genius and the girl was an ice-cold kingdom-toppling beauty. This was the first time since he came to this world felt threatened by someone. Even when he saw Selena or Alex or any other prodigies he met, he knew they weren't his match, and them being stronger than him was only temporary. However, Noah's cultivation jumped from body refining stage level 4 to level 5 in a few days. His sword mastery, and the fact he's a 3-star alchemist irked Michael. At this moment, everyone was looking at Noah. As for those Spring Garden disciples, they had clouded expressions on their faces. Although they were angrily staring at Noah and Alicia with intense killing intents, none of them dared to attack. They might be arrogant, but they were not fools as they realized they were no match for Noah despite the fact they were body-strengthening stage level 4 cultivators. "You killed Minnie." "Arf, wait till our elder comes." A disciple gritted his teeth. "If you don't want to follow Minnie into the afterlife, get out of my face," again Noah said in a cruel tone. "Humph. You are DEA." Another man coldly harumphed, but right as he was speaking, Noah attacked once again. A long sword suddenly appeared in his hand, and with a casual fling, the sword slashed forward with lightning speed. It swept through the disciple's throat, and in the next second, a severed head flew high into the sky. 60% mastery in swords, with the speed of his movements and the way he handled the sword, Michael could sense Noah's mastery over swords. The disciples shouted out in disbelief. Their expressions changed dramatically in an instant. No one could have thought that this young man was such a daring maniac. "Elder Porter." Another disciple immediately shouted out loudly at Phoenix Island. "Since I already killed Milan and Minnie, it doesn't make a difference if I kill you all too." A cold killing intent erupted from Noah's body and swept across the scene. With a sway of his body, he flew on his flying sword towards the group of disciples like a breeze of wind. He swung the long sword in his again as all these disciples tried to fight back with their full strength, yet none of them was a match for Noah. "Aha!" Accompanied by some blood-curdling screeches, in just a few breaths of time, Noah killed every single disciple of Spring Garden. Their bodies fell into the water and slowly sunk to the bottom of the ocean, making the water turn red for a few seconds. He may be going to end up dead soon, but I admire that guy's boldness. If I were him, I would definitely do the same. He was already marked for death when he killed Mayan or whatever he's called. Killing a few others doesn't change shit. Evan Gaia seemed like she was impressed by Noah, and looking at her reaction, Michael realized if this Noah guy had a badass system, he would have earned at least 10k points by now. Bear with me, guys. I know you want to see Michael being Michael, but Noah is not a passing character or just a side character. He's a major character and he needs some screen time to mark his presence. I could have just established his character in just a few hundred words, but I want my readers to read quality stuff, not some rushed work. Please be patient. When everything comes together in the future, it'll be worth it. Besides, Michael could only be a super badass if has some badass rivals, right? Chapter 86. Bang. Michael heard the sound of something or someone breaking the sound barrier. A powerful light beam shot up into the sky. Hearing this, Alicia coldly spoke. "Everyone move aside." With a sway of her hand, Alicia arrived in front of the girl who was collecting the fee to enter the island. Without hesitation, she handed over the pay cube from her space ring and said, "Would like to enter the island now." Many people seemed like they were just realizing Noah and Alicia's plans, but as the world's best hitman, Michael already recognized Noah's escape plan. Noah and Alicia wouldn't be able to outrun a core-strengthening cultivator, but if they successfully enter the Phoenix Island, they would be under the protection of Julius, as fighting or killing in Phoenix Island is prohibited. A man like Julius wouldn't take lightly if someone broke the rules set by him. The girl who was collecting the fee took the pay cube as she hadn't noticed a thing that happened here. "Young miss, young master, welcome to Phoenix Island." Buzz. Right at this moment, the air around the island started twisting. "Let's go." Noah and Alicia dared not delay even a single second. They turned into two trails of light and dashed toward the island. The pretty girl stared at Noah's back as a look of awe emerged in her eyes. Ruthless, decisive, extremely daring. "I'm sure Lord Julius will love a guy like him." The girl smiled. Right after Noah and Alicia flew into the Phoenix Island's airspace, Elder Porter immediately dashed out from the island. Many powerful warriors followed him as they had sensed what was happening outside the island and wanted to see how this incident would end. Why did they stop flying? Michael barely heard Gaia as she stuffed her mouth full of biscuits. He was not interested in answering her and stared at Noah and Alicia. When Porter arrived at the scene, he immediately stared at the spot where all his disciples were killed. He could still see blood floating on the surface of the water, and some of the dead bodies sinking to the bottom of the ocean. The ape's body had also resurfaced from the bottom of the ocean. Looking at all this, He became extremely furious. Swoosh! His eyes turned blood red and veins on his body popped up. He threw a death stare at Noah and Alicia, who had stopped flying. "Rascal, you did all this?" His voice reverberated the ocean like a thunderclap. "They tried to kill me first." Noah casually shrugged his shoulders with an unconcerned expression on his face. Even though he was facing a core-strengthening warrior, there were no signs of nervousness on his face. "Did you also kill my grandson Milan?" Michael could see the old man was burning in anger by looking at his shivering body. He seemed like he was going to explode in anger. "He too tried to kill me," Noah indifferently said. Looking at everyone's expression like Noah's going to get killed made Michael crazy because they had missed the obvious. "Bastard, die now." Porter was really furious right now. A massive amount of energy was rolling around his body. He was preparing to attack with all his strength. He wanted to kill Noah and Alicia in an instant. With intense killing intent, he struck out with his palm toward Xianxia. Michael and the others saw the surrounding air immediately ignite into flames. The mighty strength of the attack swept across like a gigantic wave as it pushed toward Noah. Bang! Right at this moment, another huge hand approached from Noah's back. The two huge hands made of glimmering arch energy collided in the mid-air, and the shockwave almost shoved Gaia's snack away. Following a loud explosive sound, both hands were destroyed at the same time. To Michael's surprise, he recognized the one who counterattacked Porter. The golden-haired girl he met in the restaurant. He expected the Guardian Guild to interfere because he heard Noah was competing in some kind of test in the White Jungle arranged by the Guardians. So naturally, they were searching for Guardian trainees, and Noah happened to be one of their choices. Zenali, soon, Michael saw the red-haired beauty appear beside the golden-haired girl and heard Gaia mumble her name in anger. "Who are you? And how dare you get in my way?" Porter was so mad that he failed to notice one thing. How could a core formation level cultivator like this girl be able to stop his attack? "Name is Peyton. Peyton Wright. I'm a guardian from the Guardian Guild." The entire scene became deathly silent when the words escaped her mouth. "Oh my God, a guardian! Why is the Guardian Guild protecting Noah?" "It doesn't matter. Compared to the Guardian Guild, the Spring Garden sect is an ant. Porter won't dare to make a move against him unless he was extremely stupid or suicidal. Yeah, I heard there's a mini-tournament going on in the White Jungle ordered by the Guardian Guild, but I thought..." "You thought what?" "I thought they were just selecting someone to complete a quest or task for the Guardian Guild." Just as a conversation between two cultivators from Draydell was going on, Peyton and Zenali came before Noah and faced Porter. "What does the Guardian Guild want with that bastard?" "He killed my only grandson. I need to avenge him." He had been looking for the person who murdered his grandson, and now the murderer stood right in front of him. Furthermore, this murderer had once again killed a lot of people from his sect. During the White Jungle test, your grandson and his friends interfered with Noah's testing process and tried to kill him, so he can steal the opening spot in the Guardian Guild. Interfering with the Guardian's business is alone a crime. Your grandson committed a crime. Noah killed your grandson and his friends in self-defense. Again, when the crowd heard the words opening spot in the Guardian Guild, they became restless and quietly started to chatter among themselves. Porter's body shivered in anger and helplessness. His grandson's killer was standing in front of him. Yet, he could even touch him. This made Porter really furious and mad. "Respectful Guardian, he also killed my disciples before you came. Was that also in self-defense? Don't they deserve justice?" Swallowing his anger, Porter spoke these words staring at the dead bodies in the ocean. "The Guardian Guild will investigate this matter to the full extent. Meanwhile, I don't want anyone from your sect or anyone related to you take any actions against Noah," Peyton said, and by the tone of her voice, Michael could tell that she's going to do nothing. "Respectful Guardians." Porter still didn't want to give up. "I don't want to hear more of this. He's one of us now, and if he did something wrong, well, investigate and take appropriate actions. But if you still hold this grudge and try to do something, I can guarantee you that you'll face the full wrath of the Guardian Guild." Peyton coldly harumphed and became hostile. Then she waved, turned back, and flew back towards the Phoenix Island. Due to controlling intense anger, Porter's veins inside his body popped as he started to bleed through his nostrils and ears. At the same time, his heart was pounding extremely fast. It wasn't difficult to imagine how angry he was right now. His trip to Phoenix Island had caused him to lose a lot. Not only had he lost a lot of disciples, he even received a huge blow to his dignity and made him feel helpless by two girls. If he could kill someone with his gaze, Noah would have been ripped into 1,000 pieces by now. Porter hated Noah to the core as he really desired to devour Noah alive. It was all because of this young man that he had lost so much, including his only grandson. Bastard, just you wait. I'll definitely make you pay one day. Porter gnashed his teeth in anger as he spoke. Old fool, hurry up and get the fuck out of here. Just as the crowd was preparing to pay and move towards the Phoenix Island, they heard a childish voice. All of them turned their gazes towards the source of the voice and saw a golden fur monkey standing on top of Noah's shoulder and cursing at Porter. A golden bobberoo? Gaia almost shouted when her eyes saw the monkey. Although this was the first time he had seen a talking infant monkey, Gaia's shocked tone assured him that this is not an ordinary talking monkey. Do you see my butt? Do you see my butt? The little monkey was happily bouncing around Noah's shoulder and shouting at Porter. Damn it, where did this monkey come from? What the fuck? Even his monkey is at body refining stage level 2. That monkey is really showing its butt and insulting Porter, damn. Many people became speechless. This monkey was just an amazing creature. He looked cute, but he seemed like a really bad monkey. Humph. Porter could only coldly harumph. Then, he just turned around and flew toward Phoenix Island before this monkey made him a bigger laughingstock. Hey, look at my plumpy butt. The monkey's words caused the flying Porter to stagger, but he just continued flying without turning back. Finally, it all came to an end. A famous yet mysterious young man had killed many disciples from the Spring Garden sect and nearly survived a core-strengthening cultivator. The name Noah had become pretty famous now. Noah, you're an extremely daring guy. Before Michael and Gay fly past Noah and the girls around him, he heard Zanali comment on his bravery, making Gaia choke on the biscuits. Thank you for your compliment, Miss Zanali. Chapter 87. Michael and Gaia were flying at a low altitude after being separated from Noah and the girls. So low they almost touched the mountain peak while admiring the island's splendid scenery. The entire island's landscape caused them to feel extremely relaxed. The more they saw, the more they felt that this Julius was someone who truly knew how to enjoy life. Do you know how this auction works? While flying, Gaia asked him. Nope, no idea, Michael replied with a smile. Human, this auction fair is divided into 2 parts, and it will last for 2 days. There is a huge square on the south side of the island, and it can hold over 10,000 men at any point in time. The first part of the auction fair is held within this square, and many humans will put treasures with hopes of selling them. Some will sell pills, potions, weapons, spell scrolls, and many other shits. If you were lucky, you could find something precious for an affordable price here. What about the second part? The second part is the auction that's held within Julius Manor. Many people who have precious treasures will entrust them to Julius, and auction them off on the second day. Of course, he will take a small cut if this treasure is successfully sold. Unlike the first day, you'll definitely find something precious and valuable if you can pay the price. Those who participate in the auction are all filthy rich men, and the treasures that appear in the auction are something that ordinary people could afford. I do wonder, can I find a dragon baby here? After seeing that golden fur monkey on Noah's shoulder, he too wanted a pet so badly, and not an ordinary pet but a dragon. Gaia rolled her eyes and lightly elbowed him in the gut. What is up with you and dragons? Those thieving lizards are good for nothing except bringing trouble. He noticed a tinge of enmity and fear deep in her tone. Although nothing she could say would make him change his mind, he did wonder why she is so adamant in trying to stop him. Did you see Noah and his pet? If he can have a pet, why can't I? But I don't want a monkey. I want a dragon. If you want me to change my mind, name something that is more badass and awesome than a dragon. I can name one. Do tell. A naga, she proudly said as he put his hands on her shoulder. So your kind is more badass and awesome than the dragons? Of course, we are superior to dragons in every way again. She couldn't help but show her pride on her face while talking. Then will you be my pet? He moved closer and whispered in her ears. Ugh. She never expected this question, and when she heard him, her face slightly reddened in anger. However, he held her hands tightly. Therefore, she couldn't vent his anger using her hands but only her mouth. How dare you, pet? Fuck you, bastard. You'll never find a dragon in your life or a girl. I curse you. She looked so cute while she's angry. Michael couldn't help but smile and feel light whenever he teased her and made her mad. It was a new kind of feeling for him to have someone who could become a friend in the future. However, Michael didn't know one thing. the loyalty meter in the system wasn't as straightforward as he was thinking, especially when he and Gaia were on the same wavelength. Don't worry, honey, I will find both. You, who are you calling honey? Don't you ever call me that or I'll do something to you. Ha ha ha, he laughed, and the duo landed on the island to see a huge manor standing magnificently. Looking ahead, he could find rows of finely built buildings, green hills, and clear water almost everywhere. There was even a waterfall there. The manor reminded him of the Biltmore estate in North Carolina. He had never lived in a mansion like this, and everything on the island, including the whole island, made him desire the life of being the wealthy, powerful immortal more and more. On the south side of the island, there was indeed a huge and empty square. The Heaven's Gate square that held Heaven's Gate competition was big, but compared to this square in front of him, it could only be considered a small square. The square was filled with carriages and people wearing all kinds of dresses. He walked towards the square to check it out, leaving the Pegasus in Gaia's hands. Come closer, come closer. 78% pure cultivation focus pill. A must-have item for all cultivators. With this pill, your concentration will go up by many folds. Flying swords for rent. Only 5 gold coins and you can take a tour around the Phoenix Island despite your cultivation level. Top-level uncommon spell scroll for only 20,000 gold coins. Around him, he could see merchants and peddlers everywhere, and more warriors began to set up a small hut and took out items to sell. Old man, is that really 78% pure cultivation focus pill? Of course it is. Young man, I've been in this business since before you were born and I never in my life sold something that's not what I claim. Alright, how much is it? You can have it for only 40,000 gold coins. With a self-flattering smile, the old white-bearded man held a fist-sized pill in his hand. The pill was glowing like a shiny crystal. 40,000. Dang, that's expensive. I'll give you 20-inch 20? Do you think I'm selling fruits? 40,000 is the best I can do. If you don't want to buy it, move aside. I'm sure that someone will buy it. Fuck. You win, old man. Hey, race your 40,000. The young warrior took out his pay cube and handed them over to the old man. The cultivation focus pill had a great effect on ordinary cultivators. It could help them focus their mind quickly and enter a state of cultivation. Michael saw this deal from a few meters away and shook his head. What is it, human? That pill is just 20% pure and barely worth the price that guy paid. Gaia wasn't looking very surprised to hear what he just said. This place is filled with con men and swindlers, human. If you are not smart enough, they will sell you a gecko as a dragon, nodding at her. He strolled through the square to find something interesting, and when they passed a shop that seemed like a female clothes shop, Gaia halted her steps. Human, he saw a hint of awkwardness in her eyes. What? Can you? Here, before Gaia could finish her words, he took her space ring and transferred 200,000 gold coins into her ring. She was not the type to hoard fancy dresses and jewelry like normal girls, but when Michael rummaged through her space ring, he found that she had only 3 pairs of dresses and one was torn in the back. So after seeing her stop in front of a clothes store, he realized her intention and gave her enough coins to buy as many clothes as she wanted. Go crazy. We'll meet at the center of the square in 2 hours. He left her before she could say anything, and when she looked into her space rings, she couldn't help but be surprised at the amount he left her with. She wanted to ask only a couple of thousand gold coins because, with that amount, she could buy some really nice clothes, but he gave her enough coins to buy the entire shop and a few more. Moreover, she could tell that he didn't give her these coins as a loan. This gesture of him slightly warmed her heart as he let out a small smile and entered the shop. Leaving Gaia to go on a shopping spree, Michael wandered around the square in the hope of finding something interesting, because most of the novel MCS would find rare and valuable things that normal people overlook in places like this. With more people coming to the place, the business was getting hotter. All sorts of things and strange items began showing up, and the entire place became very lively. How long does the host plan to blindly wander around the square? Suddenly the system's voice appeared in his head. Until I find something valuable, for 1,000 badass points. The system said with a lazy tone. For what? To find something that host will love. Dragonling? His face lit thinking about him riding a majestic and powerful dragon, but the system's silence disappointed him. He still chose to spend 2,000 badass points because if the system wants 4,000 badass points, he knew he would really get something worth that price. Take it. The system marked the location on your environmental scanning. Just like the system said, he saw a white on his environmental scanning and made his way towards it, wasting no time. When he came closer, There was a crowd gathered around the white. He entered the crowd before someone could buy whatever item that system marked. In front of the crowd, he saw an old white-bearded man with a stall before him. Noah! Michael's heart jumped when he saw Noah and Alicia. His shock was because he didn't want Noah to get his hands on the mysterious item. He paid 4,000 badass points. Noah and all the crowd were looking at a rusty scrap metal on top of the stall. Clearly, it seemed like part of a broken sword in Michael's eyes as it looked really old. Old man, who are you trying to fool? Claiming that this scrap metal is a broken piece of an epic weapon. You're nuts. Yeah, isn't that just a rusty old metal? Why don't you claim it as a legendary weapon? The crowd burst out into laughter. You guys know nothing. Although this broken sword looks terrible, it's really a precious treasure. You guys simply don't have enough knowledge. The old man wore torn clothes, but his cultivation base was quite decent. He was at level 6 of the core formation stage. Haha, old man, how much are you selling this scrap metal for? Someone mockingly said. I'll sell it for a rare combat weapon, the old man said. Fuck. A rare combat weapon? You're too greedy. The old man's words caused the crowd to burst into laughter once again. It was really funny, trying to exchange a rare combat weapon with just mere scrap metal. Every spell and weapon in this world was categorized into 5 classes. Common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. Although a rare combat weapon may not be a big thing for a powerful sect or a family, it was eye-catching for the rogue and young cultivators who had limited resources would. Young master, do you want this broken metal of an epic weapon? The old man turned his gaze away from Noah and asked Michael. I want that, a voice sounded out from within the crowd, instantly stopping all laughter. Everyone threw their glance at the young man in black, including Noah and Alicia. When they saw the cultivation level of the young man and his young look, they knew he's one of the monstrous talents. Noah was the most handsome and manly man Alicia had ever seen, but the youngster in the black fell no short in comparison to Noah. Both Noah and he looked like they were the same age. Noah was slightly astonished to see 2 swords on his back because only swordsmen with high maternity and talent in swords can wield 2 swords at the same time. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 800 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 600 badass points. Hee hee, young master surely knows the value of this treasure. You're not going to suffer any losses by trading a rare combat weapon for it. When the old man saw Michael, a flattering smile immediately emerged on his face. He knew he has an incredible cultivation base, so he already thought of him as someone filthy rich. Noah was already prepared to buy the scrap as he took the scrap metal in his hand. I don't want that. I need this. Fortunately, the white was not the scrap metal in Noah's hand but a book on the stall. Everyone was surprised, including Alicia and Noah, as they quickly took a glance at the thick old book that Michael pointed to. Young master, you want this? By the look of the old man, Michael knew the book was not as expensive as the metal scrap because if it was, the old man's smile wouldn't have grown smaller. Young master, I found this book on an ancient ruin. How much? Michael was not in the mood to hear the old man spin a crazy story about the book as he interrupted the old man and asked. 10. No. 20,000 gold coins. Damn it, this old man has steel for balls. He's even trying to sell a fucking old book for 20,000 gold coins. Old man, sometimes, wanting too much will leave you with nothing. I'll give you 5,000 gold coins for this book. Most people agreed with him with a nod after hearing Michael. When the old man stuttered to name a price, he knew that the old man had no idea about the book's value and he would be glad to sell this book for anything. Although he could have simply given the 20,000 gold coins and bought the book, the people around him would have thought of him as a fool instead of a badass. 5,000 it is then. Here you go, young master, as Michael said. The old man didn't want to lose the chance of earning 5,000. Michael waved his hand as stacks of gold coins appeared beside the old man. The old man didn't even count the coin as he respectfully handed the book to Michael, but he was laughing in his mind. Lucky me. I sold nothing but an old book for 5,000 coins, hee hee. Sigh. Although the young man didn't pay 20,000, he still paid 5,000 for a book. I don't know, the kid seemed to know what he's doing. People were puzzled by Michael's action but they were afraid to ask for an explanation. Noah and Alicia cautiously stared at the black-clothed young man turning around to leave. Noah met his fair share of arrogant prodigies in Kingdom Draddle and Kethan, but he never met someone like the black-robed youngster before. He came here without bearing an arrogant look or the prideful demeanor of a prodigy. He was calm and didn't show off his wealth even though Noah could tell he's rich by the clothes he wore. Usually, prodigies at his age would feel threatened by his and Alicia's cultivation level, yet Noah felt like he wasn't threatened by them. However, it was Alicia who felt threatened by the black-robed youngster, as she only thought Noah was the only one who could match her cultivation talents. Whoosh! Just as they were looking at the black-clothed young man leaving and turning their eyes back at Noah, an arrow flew straight towards the black-robed youngster and pierced into the ground just an inch away from him. Michael abruptly halted his movements when he saw the arrow and crouched to pick the arrow up with a frown on his face. Gaia! Normally if a chapter reaches almost 2,700 words, I would split it into 2 chapters, but now that my readers are using the free pass and other means to unlock my chapters, I didn't want to split the chapter. Therefore, this chapter might have felt like a long read. I hope you enjoyed the chapter. Chapter 88, a couple of moments ago. Fuck. I can't find a single dress that has some tactical advantage. After separating with Ghost, she was going in and out of all the clothing stores. Considering she wouldn't be able to cast spells as when she was a cultivator, she needed a dress that would let her move around freely without restricting her movements when firing arrows. All the clothing stores and the clothes they had for women were fancier, but none of them were what she was looking for. After checking the 7th shop, she stepped inside the 8th clothing store. The store had red brick walls and grayish tiles to give a unique charm and several mannequins in glistening dresses. A bunch of cultivators, including a few girls and boys, was rummaging through the neatly hanged clothes racks while a salesgirl approached to welcome the new customer, Gaia. "Welcome, miss." As the girl noticed Gaia's cultivation level and realized she was only a mortal, the brightness on the salesgirl's face dimmed. Gaia was too tired to bicker with the girls, as she had seen 7 people like this girl earlier. "I want something less glittery and black will be great," said Gaia. "Follow me, miss." The girl gestured at her to follow her to the corner while a couple of youngsters in pink uniforms were adorning a pretty girl with new clothes. The girl seemed so happy and in such a good mood seeing the boys paying all her bills. The salesgirl beside the girl was carrying new clothes up to her neck and stumbling because of the weight. Gaia obviously ignored this and minded her own business. "Miss, you can find less glittery clothes for women in this rack." The salesgirl used Gaia's words and pointed at a rack full of ordinary clothes. If she was a princess and a cultivator, she wouldn't have even looked at the dresses before her, but now, they seemed like her only choice. "Oh." The salesgirl's brows arched upwards when she saw Gaia taking all the black clothes including tops, pants, and innerwear without even checking the size or price. "Mississippi." "Shush, my friend and I are crazy rich. So yes, I can pay for all these." The salesgirl heaved a sigh hearing Gaia's proud, confident voice. The salesgirl's face instantly brightened thinking about the commission for this sale, and the high probability for a significant tip. "Miss, if you want, you can see the new stocks over there." The girl pointed at the area where the cultivators and the girl was shopping and led Gaia there. Up until now, the youngsters didn't notice Gaia, but when she approached the area they were in, all eyes fell on her. Ignoring the gazes, she followed the salesgirl and began to check the racks. The pink uniformed girl had already taken all the glittery and expensive clothes on the rack that had no tactical advantage. However, that worked in Gaia's favor as the girl already filtered the clothes, making Gaia's life easier. "Why didn't you show these to me before?" she asked the salesgirl and picked all the remaining dresses on the rack. "Who is this peasant?" The pink uniformed youngsters were bewildered because these dresses were very costly and a peasant like her couldn't afford it, or at least that's what they thought. Of course, by default, they branded her as a peasant looking at her cultivation level. The arrogance and pride of being cultivators dulled their brains. Gaia heard the remark, but she remained quiet because she didn't want any trouble. "Looking at this peasant buying all these clothes, I feel cheap. Who the hell is she?" The pink uniformed girl thought to herself and kept staring at Gaia with the furrowed brows. "Solomon, give me the juice bottle," the girl asked one of the boys as he quickly retrieved the mango juice bottle from his space ring and handed it over to the girl like a servant to impress her. The girl loved the attention and wanted to be the center of everything. Therefore, when the people in the store and some of her friends started to notice Gaia instead of her, she felt pissed. In simple words, the girl had a narcissistic personality disorder. The girl took one sip and then she walked towards Gaia to turn all the attention back at her. Plop. "Oops." The girl pretended like she tripped and spilled the juice all over Gaia and the new clothes in her hand. "The fuck, bitch." Gaia lost her cool when she saw the devious look on the girl's face. However, the devious and wicked grin on the girl's face took a turn to the worse when she heard Gaia's words. Gaia was not like Michael, who spent years controlling his anger as she shouted at the girl. "What did you call me?" "I called you a bitch because you blind bitch spilled the fucking juice all over me." Although Michael was not with her, the no fight in the island rule gave her the guts to yell at the girl without holding back her anger. The girl's face turned red and almost puffs of smoke came out of her nostrils in anger and embarrassment. She picked the wrong chick to mess with. "How dare you?" The boys around the girl bared their teeth at Gaia like angered Rottweilers. "The nerve!" The girl furiously pointed her finger at Gaia and yelled, "If you don't drop to your knees and apologize, I will cut your tongue out, peasant." "Please calm down, my lords and my ladies. Fighting is prohibited on the island." Both the salesgirls beside Gaia and the bitchy girl quickly reminded them before the citation escalates. "Even if it doesn't, my friend will skin all you sons of bitches alive if you touch a hair in my head," Gaia said, and didn't bother to hide the arrogance in her voice. "We'll be in trouble only if someone alerts Lord Julius. You're just a mortal. Even if we killed you and someone did alert Lord Julius, we'll only get a fine, and that's like a small slap on the wrist." The girl spoke as Solomon ran to the entrance to shut the door and the windows. Gaia's face turned dark and gloomy because she knew the girl was right. She clearly miscalculated the girl's character, but no matter what, she was not going to apologize to the girl. How could the princess of the Nagaland and a heavenly blessed prodigy drop to her knees and apologize to another girl? 5,000 gold coins for those who keep their mouths shut. The girl threw a pouch of coins to the middle of the store and made the people turn a blind eye to the situation. Obviously, Gaia had coins to counteroffer, but she knew it won't work because she's alone and the girl had 8 body refining stage cultivators and 1 level 4 body strengthening cultivator with her. Therefore, even if she offered them more coins, the people wouldn't help her, especially if they were weaker than the girl's group. "Boys, grab her," the girl grinned evilly and ordered her minions. "Fuck it." The bow of Legolas appeared in her hands as she fired an arrow at the girl's step at lightning speed. Woo! The girl jumped back and the youngsters were taken aback by surprise. They were cultivators, but even for them, her movements were too quick and caught them by surprise. "If you take one more step, the next one will go right between your eyes," she warned the girl and carefully walked back towards the door while still aiming the arrow at the girl. "You're fast for a mortal, but I'm faster." Just as Gaia was a few steps away from the door, the bitchy girl said and waved her hand. Plap! The next moment, the girl appeared beside Gaia and slapped her. The force of her slap threw Gaia up against the wall and made her spurt out blood. "Poor girl." One of the men who were watching this mumbled. "Cough, cough." Gaia's vision blurred for a moment because of the slap. Her head was spinning, and if the girl used a little more force, Gaia's neck would have broken. Whistle. Chill. The glass window suddenly exploded into pieces following Gaia's whistle as the white Pegasus came to the rescue. The sudden entrance of the Pegasus stunned the girl and the youngsters for a moment. Gaia mustered all her strength and jumped on the Pegasus to escape the store. Pulch. Ah! Just when Gaia was about to fly away, Solomon grabbed the arrow Gaia fired earlier and threw at her viciously. The arrow pierced Gaia's chest just a couple of inches away from her heart. Blood immediately rushed out of her mouth as she gave one last weak kick to fly away. "Get her!" The girl panicked and screamed. The girl knew if that mortal girl attracted too many eyes, they would get more than a slap on the wrist, because even if the girl was mortal, Julius would be forced to severely punish them to protect his reputation. Since the mortal girl jumped out of the store with her Pegasus, they had to capture and kill her before she could draw more attention. Hit the Pegasus. The girl quickly hatched a plan and screamed at Solomon. People outside didn't see what happened inside the store, therefore, the girl planned to hit the Pegasus from inside the store and make Gaia fall to death. That way, she had the chance to pay the people inside more and cover up what happened before the shit hit the fan. Kiss of death. Solomon was an expert in long-ranged attacks and learned a few handy spells to attack a target in the distance. Pulch. Nay. In the sky, the Pegasus violently neighed as a long green dagger pierced straight through the Pegasus' abdomen. Who? Man, Gaia's vision kept blurring as she fired one last arrow at a crowd gathered on the ground below her, and hoped Michael would see the arrow by some chance. Shit! How is she still flying? Solomon panicked and looked at the girl for guidance. Fortunately, the poison is driving the Pegasus crazy and taking her away from the Phoenix Island. Hey Race, what we're gonna do? We're going through the back door and chase her without making it obvious. And if she falls to death before leaving the island, that's good, but if she doesn't, we have to kill her the moment she leaves the island. But Maria, do we have to chase her? We should first escape the island before Julius hears what happened here. One of the youngsters questioned the girl. It's too late. If we had killed her inside this room as I planned, No big trouble. However, now the people outside will start to question and these people inside the store will start talking. Mortal or not, Julius has to punish us for breaking the rules. Besides, I have a bad feeling about the friend she mentioned. She was partially right. If this happened inside the four walls and only a few people witnessed a group of cultivators killing a mortal girl, Julius might have let the killers go with a small fine after making them bribe the witnesses to protect his reputation. Especially, he wouldn't have gone to the lengths to severely punish them for a mortal. However, right at this moment, many people had seen an injured girl in a Pegasus. They would start to question, and the best thing Maria and her group could do was kill Gaia outside the Phoenix Island and turn the story as she broke the no-fight rule first and tried to attack them first. Chapter 89 Gaia? Michael picked up the arrow and looked up at the sky to see a familiar Pegasus clumsily flying away from the Phoenix Island. 500 badass points for learning how to fly an object. 1000 badass points for integrating the skill with lightning dash. Do it. Michael wasted no time thinking about the badass points as he ordered the system. Lightning dash. He turned himself into a lightning bolt and dashed towards the stall where everyone was renting flying swords. Hey! When Michael reached the stall, he didn't even stop as he threw a pouch of coins and jumped on a flying sword. The next moment, everyone saw him turning himself into a lightning bolt and launching himself into the sky. Alicia, let's go see what's happening. Noah was curious to see like everyone else and followed the black-robed youngster behind. Wow, they never expected the black-robed youngster could fly that fast as they only saw a flash of lightning and then he disappeared from their view. Who is he? Even Alicia could barely track his speed and wondered about the origin of the youngster. In the sky, Michael saw a group of pink-robed youngsters circling around Gaia and one guy was lifting Gaia by her neck. Zzzzzzz. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a body refining stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 6,000 experience points and 800 badass points. Marky. Maria screamed out loud in shock a few seconds after her friend's body exploded into a red mist. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 300 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 200 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 400 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 100 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 50 badass points. Michael was not in the mood to lay back and enjoy the sudden outburst in badass points. His full focus was on Gaia, who was bleeding and barely holding herself together without falling off the Pegasus. Whoosh! The next moment, Maria saw a flash of lightning and then, a black-robed youngster appeared before the mortal girl. Ma, here, drink this. Due to all the years of intense training and anger management, he was able to think clearly as he quickly retrieved a healing potion and gently poured it into her mouth. He noticed green veins spreading all over her body and realized she was poisoned. What is happening here? Who is this girl? I don't know, but I guess it has something to do with these pink uniformed youngsters. 80% pure healing potion. While Michael was treating Gaia, many people surrounded them and started to gossip. Among this crowd, Noah noticed the potion and slightly raised his brows because as an alchemist himself, he quickly realized the potion's purity. Human where? Shh. Just drink another 1 inch, he shushed her and poured another bottle of healing potion into her mouth. Nay. Just as she was drinking the healing potion, the pure Pegasus lost its consciousness and started to fall down. The flying sword Michael grabbed from the stall was fortunately big enough for 2 people, so he quickly saved Gaia from falling down by grabbing her by the waist. Maria, Solomon, Maria, and every pink-robed youngster heaved a sigh of relief seeing they were away from the airspace of Phoenix Island as well as Michael's cultivation level. Because Mariah's personal bodyguard was a body-straightening stage level 4 cultivator and the rest of her group was body-refining stage level 8 cultivators, she was confident enough to kill this black-robed youngster. After all, he killed one of her minions named Marky. Who did this? Michael asked without showing any emotions in his voice. He knew the healing potions could momentarily stop the poison from spreading further. Although Michael knew very well about Gaia's attitude and toxic mouth, he also knew she was not dumb enough to start a fight without him by her side. As far as he was concerned, even if she did something wrong, none had the right to kill her because for 2 reasons. 1, he invested hundreds of badass points on her, and 2, she was his subordinate as well as his friend. Unless Gaia went mad and massacred a large number of innocents crossing his line, he wouldn't let anyone hurt her, let alone kill her. All of them, considering she barely had arch energy in her body and never came this close to death, her body kept shivering because of the shock. Even with all those years of training to control his anger and emotions, when he saw the blood on her and the tears-welled eyes, he started to get really angry. The reason was, back on Earth he never had a friend or anyone close to him. Because he never cared about anyone except him, he never felt an emotion like he's feeling now. This long flying journey and the interactions he had with her strengthened their friendship and helped him bond with Gaia. He was starting to think of her as a friend, and someone nearly took her away from him, and that made him furious. "This is gonna hurt," Michael said, and pulled the broken piece of the arrow out of her chest. Ah! He gave another healing potion and turned back to look at all the pink-robed men with the bloodied broken arrow in his hand. "Miss Maria, stand behind me." The body-strengthening stage cultivator behind Maria moved in front of Maria while all the pink-robed youngsters prepared for the fight. "Kid, stay your hand," the man warned Michael when he saw the cold killing intent in his eyes. Diddle. Diddle, however, Michael moved towards him while silently muttering these words. "Death Ray." The man didn't waste a second as he raised his hands and sent a golden scorching hot energy beam towards Michael. "What? How is this possible? Holy!" Many people looking at the scene thought the beam was going to turn Michael into ashes, but the beam didn't even scratch him as a light blue energy shield appeared before the beam could touch him. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 2,000 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 3,000 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 200 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 400 badass points. The system continuously ran inside his head. When Noah and Alicia saw the beam completely disappear after clashing with a light blue shield that appeared and vanished in a flash, they were amazed. "Miss Maria, Gobier. We are so little." Pulch. Before even the man could finish his warning and attack again, Michael suddenly dashed at him and began to stab him with a broken arrow. The blood of her bodyguards kept spattering on her face, and in a few seconds, her pink top turned red because of the blood. Many weak-hearted cultivators slightly turned away their gaze from Michael. Although Michael felt furious inside, he didn't show his emotions on the face. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a body-strengthening stage level 4 cultivator. The reward is 18,000 experience points and 1,000 badass points. Kill him. Run. Among the remaining pink-robed youngsters, one could hear two shouts. A few of them, including Solomon, wanted to fight Michael, while the rest of them wanted to flee the area rather than fighting Michael. Whoosh. However, Michael quickly targeted the three who were preparing to flee and dashed at them. Ignitia zzz. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a body-refining stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 6,000 experience points and 800 badass points. With one hand, Michael sent a powerful bolt of lightning towards a youngster. The lightning bolt pierced straight through the heart of its target, leaving a large hole in his body. He had a quick death, but his two friends were not so lucky as him. Pulch. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a body-refining stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 6,000 experience points and 800 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a body-refining stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 6,000 experience points and 900 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 200 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 400 badass points. Michael disregarded the notifications as he was busy stabbing the two youngsters to death. The blood and pieces of organs continued to splatter out of their body, but he didn't stop stabbing them. The people were terrified looking at his ruthlessness. Thursday. After a few seconds, Michael spat some of the blood that splattered on his mouth and turned his murderous look at Solomon and the two men and the girl behind him, who couldn't help but shiver in fear. Including some of the senior experienced cultivators, many were stunned and terrified as they watched everything without uttering a word. He's too ruthless. He killed a body-strengthening stage cultivator just like that. Where did he come from and who the heck is he? Those guys are so screwed. They are outside the airspace of the Phoenix Island, so the no-killing rules won't apply here, the people began to chatter. Don't. Come near us, Solomon stuttered. His face pale and his hands were shaking in fear. He's the one who killed our ride, Ghost, boom. The moment the people heard Gaia call him Ghost, the system notifications started to repeatedly ring inside his head again. He's Ghost. The 5-star alchemist of River Town. Holy shit. The ghost who won Heaven's Gate competition and stepped on the 100th step? Noah and Alicia had a look of realization when they heard the astounding conversations around them. Noah heard nothing about Heaven's Gate competition, but he did hear about the 5-star alchemist who could concoct pills and brew potions with 80% purity, only second to the alchemy king Gabriel himself. For the first time in their life, both Noah and Alicia felt threatened by someone, Michael. Chapter 90. The pink uniformed disciples looked at Michael with some hesitation as Solomon stuttered in fear. You have no idea what you done. If you come dash, his words stopped coming out of his mouth as he saw Michael moving towards him. Overwhelming fear paralyzed the other 2 disciples behind him and the girl and stood there shivering. Michael said nothing. He just stopped moving for a second before his body shook slightly before appearing instantly right in front of Solomon. With a broken arrowhead right between his fingers, he made a fist and slammed it into the face of Solomon with no fancy movements. Ah! Solomon cried out in agony as he tried to cover his face in instinct. However, Michael grabbed him by the neck and punched him again and again and again and again. Ha! Zzzzzz. Zzzzzz. Looking at the ravaged face of their friend, Solomon, the disciples screamed out aloud as their scream reverberated the crystal ocean. But 2 bolts of lightning through their heads cut their cries short. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a body refining stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 6,000 experience points and 800 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a body refining stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 6,000 experience points and 900 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a body refining stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 6,000 experience points and 900 badass points. Immediately after ignoring the continued rings inside his head, his body disappeared and reappeared right in front of Maria. Kill her. Ghost from behind, Michael heard Gaia's weak voice. Michael still didn't know what happened back there, but he had a gut feeling that everything started because of this girl before him. Don't kill. Her words barely escaped her mouth as Michael's hold around her neck tightened. Although he slaughtered the male disciples, when he grabbed the girl and raised his hand, the crowd looked flabbergasted. Stay your hand. At this critical moment, a loud shout echoed out from the inner area of Phoenix Island. The shout was so loud that it sounded like a thundering roar. It swept across Phoenix Island and stirred the ocean waves. After that, everyone saw a man with a powerful aura and grandeur rushing over with great speed. In just the blink of an eye, he appeared a few meters away from Michael. This adult man was in his 40s. Behind him stood the girl who collected the entry fee before and a group of soldiers in armor. However, his armor was much shinier and mightier than that of those soldiers behind him. The entire armor was covered with countless symbols, giving it a touch of mysteriousness. His angular face carried a domineering expression, causing him to look mighty and vigorous. His aura was actually surpassing Porter and matched the aura of Victor. That's Lord Julius. Never thought he would come here. Lord Julius. What an incredible cultivation power. Core strengthening stage level 5-inch, since Lord Julius is here, that young girl might be safe now. Lord Julius' arrival had attracted many eyes. He was one of the most influential men in the Elon continent and the greatest man of this auction fair. No one dared disrespect him even a bit. For those who had come here from afar, they felt their effort had just paid for itself just by getting to someone great with their own eyes. Michael also turned his gaze away from the girl and threw his glance at Lord Julius. The man had bulging muscles, a tall body, and long brown hair. Michael was slightly shocked because even though Julius looked mostly human, he could sense an animalistic aura and see furry sideburns as well as a hairy neck. In Michael's mind, he slightly resembled the Beast in X-Men movies, except this man had fair skin instead of blue. Julius looked down and saw the blood on the ocean's surface. His face turned cold and unfriendly. What's happening here? System, if he tried to attack us, activate the teleportation scroll and get us to safety. He opened the system to give it an order and momentarily slow the time to plan his next moves. Yes. Lord Julius stared at Michael with an unfriendly expression. He had held the auction fair for a long time, and the rules set by him were final. No one ever dared break them. Breaking the rules set by him was equal to disturbing the peaceful order of the trade fair, and it also meant that the person didn't take his word seriously. The killings may have happened outside the airspace of the Phoenix Island, but once they paid the entry fee, they would become a guest of the Phoenix Manor, and he wouldn't let his guests kill each other because it was bad for business. What's your name? Ghost. Michael replied, and he had no fear on his face. Why did you kill them? Julius asked and expected Michael to let go of the girl, but unlike his expectation, Michael didn't let go of Maria. They tried to kill my friend, he coldly answered. If he wasn't a core-strengthening stage cultivator, Michael would have killed him by now because they broke the no-fighting on Phoenix Island rules and almost killed Gaia, yet Julius had done nothing to prevent that. After Julius' sudden appearance, the people saw more core-strengthening cultivators who entered the island previously also making their appearance. Noah and Alicia greeted Zanali and Peyton with a nod and stared at the scene in silence, but no one noticed the sudden change of expression on both Zanali and Peyton's faces when they saw Ghost. Noah could tell they knew him by looking at their face. On the other side, Paul and Victor also appeared out of nowhere but remained silent and let Julius deal with Michael. Lord Julius was a ruthless demi-human, and he wouldn't just stick to one style when dealing with people. Many expected him to kill Ghost on the spot because of the way he looked and answered Julius. Despite standing in front of a core-strengthening stage cultivator, there was no anxiety or fear could be seen on his face, but instead, he still seemed cold. Don't you know the rules of Phoenix Island? No killing. Julius' voice sounded loud and cold. Michael felt immense pressure building up around him. Energy Devourer activated. Experience points converted 10,000. Experience points converted 15,000. Experience points converted 18,000. Suddenly Michael heard the system's voice in his mind and realized Julius was trying to suppress him by using his cultivation pressure on him. Julius' cultivation pressure was solely focused on Michael, and because of that and the way Julius controlled his arch energy, anyone under the core strengthening stage didn't notice or feel the pressure. When Julius saw him withstand his pressure, there was a hint of shock in his eyes. Victor scanned Michael from head to toe while Paul stared at the mortal girl behind him and had a sense of familiarity. They tried to kill my friend on the Phoenix Island. Why didn't no one stop them? The pressure disappeared after he questioned Julius. The question made Julius turn and look at the girl beside him, who looked anxious and nervous. Soon after turning his gaze away from the girl, Julius coldly said, "It's me and my men who decide the punishment for such crimes, not you. Let go of the girl or what? You'll become an enemy of the Phoenix Manor." Lord Julius coldly harumphed and became hostile. His words sounded so loud as they almost gave many weak-hearted cultivators a heart attack. Go. Gaia tucked his sleeve and tried to let go of Maria. She wanted to kill Maria more than Michael, but she knew it's impossible to kill Maria now since Julius has ordered Ghost to let go of her. Besides, she had more pressing concerns than killing Maria. If you ask politely, we might consider helping you, Ghost. Peyton moved forwards a little and snickered. Michael slowly turned his sharp gaze at Peyton. I don't need the Guardians to save me. The crowd was again taken aback by the tone of his voice. He sounded colder and hostile. Before Peyton could say anything, he turned to look back at Julius. For a few seconds, one could hear nothing except for the waves as they stared at Michael for his answer. And then after a few seconds of silence, he opened his mouth. And I don't give a fuck about Phoenix Manor. She hurt my friend, so she will die. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 5,000 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 4,000 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 2,000 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 1,000 badass points. Michael's words brought a storm to the crowds as Julius' face turned dark in anger. Oh heavens! This Ghost is really a daring guy. He's dead. He is DD. He not only offended a guardian, he even disrespected Lord Julius in front of all these people. You little bastard. Do you think you can come to my island and disrespect me and leave this place alive? Julius' killing intent skyrocketed as many people moved a few meters away from Julius, terrified. Brat, Are you really going to get yourself killed for a mortal girl? Paul moved forward and asked before Julius could strike him down. Old man, she's my friend and that's all that matters to me. Paul helpless shook his head and said. Well, nice seeing ya, brat. Paul moved back to where he was before while Victor glanced at Michael with a small grin on his face. Prepare to die. After these words left Julius' mouth, a gigantic bear claw appeared from Julius' hands and stunned everyone in the scene. What if he could leave this crystal ocean alive, Julius? Just as everyone was staring at the gigantic bear claw made of arch-energy of a core-strengthening cultivator, they heard a voice. Then in a flash, Victor appeared beside Julius. Humph, if he can move 10 meters away from where he's standing now, I will let him and that girl live. Michael didn't need any help from Victor, however. He knew Victor was trying to make an ally. Kid, do you think you can kill that girl and escape a core-strengthening cultivator's wrath? Watch me. Chapter 91. You gonna be alright? In a thick forest far away from the Phoenix Island, a girl was resting under a large tree while a young man was tending to the girl. This girl and boy was none other than Gaia and Michael. After Victor intervened between Michael and Julius, Michael killed Maria by breaking her neck and used the teleportation scroll and disappeared from everyone's sight in a flash. The teleportation wasn't anything fancy, but the moment the system activated the scroll, he and Gaia vanished into thin air. He got a crazy amount of badass points and he wished he could see the looks on their faces. Also before their disappearance, Michael paid the system a 100 badass points to leave a note inside Victor's coat. No. Not cough. Cough. Gaia's face was full of green veins as she coughed out more blood. The blood emitted a pungent smell and had a tinge of green shade to it. Keep drinking the healing potion. He poured another bottle of healing potion while scanning his surroundings. Fuck. I never thought I would be poisoned by my own poison. After drinking the healing potion, she was able to speak more clearly without vomiting blood. You coated the arrows with your own poison, huh? This poison, where did you get it? Michael was very interested in getting more of this poison because, from the first day he brewed fear toxin, he was trying to make an antidote as he didn't want to be accidentally affected by the fear toxin. To successfully finish the fear toxin antidote, he missed one vital ingredient. The ingredient needed to be extremely potent poison, high acidity level, thicker than the blood. With his knowledge in alchemy, he could find a few poisons matching these requirements except one. The ingredient had to be non-flammable even at an extremely high temperature. And now, he finally found it. I always keep a bottle of my poison in my space ring. Here, take it. She removed the space ring and handed it over to Michael as tears started to roll out of her eyes. Human, I can't believe that I'm going to say this, but the past 30 days were the happiest days of my life. Michael gently smiled as she continued. I only wish you bastard had cured me, but it doesn't matter now. Human, she reached her hand out and grabbed Michael's hand. Tell me the truth. Do you really consider me as your friend? She squeezed his hand and weakly smiled. I wouldn't have offended Julius and his entire Phoenix Manor if you weren't my friend. Her loyalty had already passed the 70% and reached the 76%. Therefore, he really did consider her his friend now. However, he still had one more trick up his sleeve to massively increase her loyalty. Bury me, cough, in Nagaland, cough. Cough, beside my, cough mother. Human, the healing potion lost its effect and the poison in her body started to get worse. You're not going to die. Michael wiped her tears and opened the system. System, how long does it take me to heal her? Host, the subordinate has been poisoned by a very potent poison. Simply healing her meridians will not save her. You have to restore her cultivation level for her body to take control over the poison. I hope this is the last thing I do to manipulate her. Michael heaved a long sigh and took the blood-red pill he concocted before leaving the sect. Host, are you really going to take this pill? System, what is too easy to get is also too easy to forget, he said and put the pill into his mouth. System, heal her meridians and restore her cultivation level, he said before swallowing the pill and exiting the system's interface. Gaia, I'm going to cure you using an ancient technique. Hold my hand tight and never let go. She was bewildered by his words and before she could ask any question, he gritted his teeth like he was in extreme pain. HR. The pill he took started to show its effects. It was a pain inducer that would activate all his pain receptors and make him feel an extreme amount of pain for a short amount of time. He knew what he had done may be dumb or stupid, but he wanted to make sure Gaia's loyalty get as high as it could. In the future, he has to trust her completely, and to get to that certain trust level, he decided to go through this trail of pain in front of her. According to his plan, by seeing how much pain he's in, she would feel grateful and become more loyal to him. Just like he said to the system, if he had healed her easily, she may or may not have forgotten it quickly and felt less grateful towards him. He could have faked the pain, but he knew she can tell the difference as he was not an Oscar-winning actor. Human Gaia suddenly sensed a hot wave passing through her body and felt her meridians being healed quickly. Arg! Michael growled and fought against the pain. Each and every pain receptor in his body got activated by the pill. He was experiencing a pain 100 times more than being shot by a revolver. I'm healed. A few seconds after, she sensed her fully healed meridians and almost shouted in delight. Congratulations to the host. Subordinate Gaia has reached 85% loyalty. Human, what is happening to you? She couldn't feel happy seeing the blood coming out of his nostrils and ears. She leaned forward and clenched his hands. Soon after a few moments, his hands started to twitch as Gaia reached the body-strengthening stage. Yet, she was not in the mood to celebrate or wonder how. She was extremely worried looking at the amount of blood coming out of his nostrils and ears and wanted to stop his suffering. Congratulations to the host. Subordinate Gaia has reached 90% loyalty. Human, tell me what is happening to you. Please stop this, I'm healed. She screamed and couldn't stop her tears from rolling out of her eyes. Ghost. There was something in that shout of hers, a pain behind it. She watched Michael's eyes. She felt desperate, angry, and helpless seeing him go through this agony just to save her. Congratulations to the host. Subordinate Gaia has reached 95% loyalty. Congratulations to the host. Subordinate Gaia has been completely healed and reached the core formation stage level 7. 10 minutes after, the pain he was feeling disappeared, but he was exhausted. His body betrayed him as he fell backward, but instead of hitting the ground, Gaia's ample bosom cushioned his downfall. His face twitched when her tears landed on his face as he let out a gentle but weak smile. I told you not going to die. You bastard. Don't you dare die on me. Gaia cried and laughed at the same time. Right after that, the healing potion appeared in Michael's hand and she immediately grabbed the potion and poured it into his mouth. While the healing potion was tending to his aching organs and muscles, he opened up the system and checked his status. System version 2. 0 host, Michael cultivation level, body refining stage, level 10 experience points, 180,000/200,000 badass points, 78,000 skills and spells, wind blast, LVL2 responsive shield, LVL3 environment scanning, LVL2 ignitia, LVL1 lightning dash, LVL1 energy devour, LVL1 death range, LVL1 techniques, swords of destiny, 78% mastery occupation. Core disciple of Sunrise Sect, the guardian of Sunrise Sect status. Healthy goals. Control the world utility function. Banker, LVL2, ratio, 1,000 gold coins, 5. Badass points, wealth, 685,000 gold special trait. 5-star alchemist subordinates. Gaia, loyalty level 95%, base of operation. Sunrise Sect, the number of experience points and the badass points eased his pain. The trip to the Phoenix Island is absolutely worth it. He exited the system with an elevated mood, disregarding the fact that he just made an enemy out of Julius and probably the pink-robed disciples' families or sect. After exiting the system, Gaia's smiling face welcomed him. She removed the mask and stood before him with her real face. She was extremely beautiful even when she was just a mortal, but now, she reached another level in terms of beauty and elegance. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Both of them asked the same question at the same time. Let me. It happened again as the both of them chuckled a bit and waited a few seconds to let the other speak. However, instead of speaking, Gaia walked forward and hugged him tightly. Oh, never expected this, Michael smiled and embraced her back. Unlike before, now she was stronger and powerful than him, and he could feel it by the strength of her hug. He knew that if she desired, she could easily crush him just with her physical strength. What the fuck did you expect? This is what best friends do. Michael had never been hugged before like this. There was something so warm, something that felt right, smelt right. On the other hand, Gaia felt her body press in, soft and warm. This was something she'd waited for, prayed for. She inwardly thanked her mother and hugged all the tighter. A friendship like this was to be cherished for life. Finally, both of them felt like they were home. Chapter 92. You can let go of me now, Michael patted her on the back and said. Right, Finally, after embracing him for a long couple of minutes, she stepped back with a wide grin on her face. Considering she was healed and reached her peak cultivation level, there were no worries in her heart and that joy brightened her face. Moreover, she finally found a true friend who risked his life to save her twice. Can we go and slaughter that Maria bitch's family now? Because of that bitch, we had to leave the Phoenix Island without attending the auction. She seemed so fearless and dominant. It made her hotter than before. Geez, cool down. Yes, you're healed, but it doesn't mean you can go running around the kingdom killing people. Instead of using the flying sword, Michael felt like taking a walk through the forest as Gaia walked beside him. You're right, that Zanali bitch has wider reach now since she joined the Guardians. She gritted her teeth and said, "What happened back on the island after I left you anyways?" Sigh, with a long heave of sigh, Gaia began to narrate the events that happened with Maria and her group. He silently listened to her without asking a question. While hearing her story, he was mad at Julius, and his incompetence in enforcing the rules than Maria and her friends. Julius prevented not only Maria and her friends from attacking Gaia, but he also tried to stop him from killing Maria, who was the main reason for what happened to Gaia. Just a few moments before Michael started to kill Mariah's group, Julius was working on a new deal with a group of people from the Azer continent and failed to seal the deal. Julius was already frustrated by this, and how Michael acted in front of him made him even more furious. He tried to take that frustration on Michael, but he ultimately failed to do so. The fact we left Phoenix with empty hands is making me furious, Thop. She vented her anger on the old log on the ground by kicking it. The log of wood instantly broke into pieces and surprised Michael with her strength. Soon, a grin appeared on his face as he stopped walking. "What's so funny?" Seeing the grin on his face, she asked and saw an old book appear in his hand. "Who said we left Phoenix with empty hands?" She curiously grabbed the book and opened it to see worn-out yellow pages. The words made little sense as they were written in an ancient language. She continued to rummage through the book, but she couldn't find anything interesting about the book. "Please tell me you didn't spend a fortune on this." She shut the book frustrated and stared at Michael. "No, I did not, just 5,000 coins. "What? Why?" Although 5,000 coins weren't much, there was no way this old book in her hand worth that price. "System, show me its secrets." Michael had zero worries about the book because he knew the book is worth more than mere 5,000 gold coins. 1,000 badass points to reveal the book's secret. Again. "I already paid you 4,000 badass points." The system didn't even sound like asking, but instead it sounded more like demanding. When it comes to the system's tricks like this, he felt so helpless. The host can of course try to scour this world for clues while avoiding the deadly traps, decode the book, and find its secret, or you can pay 1,000 badass points to know the secret now. This is better be worth it. Is that a yes? Yes. He gritted his teeth and said yes to the haughty system. Loading. The system entered into the loading screen as he patiently waited for the system to finish decoding the book. Surprisingly, it only took 15 seconds for the system to work its magic on the book. Bleed on the book to reveal its secrets. He sighed and exited the system. "Why did you pay 5,000 gold coins for this book? Didn't I tell you that place is filled with swindlers?" She yelled at him like his mother as he grabbed the book from her hand with a smirk. Then a small crack of lightning appeared from the tip of his finger and cut his palm. "What are you doing?" He didn't answer her but let his blood flow onto the book. Zzzzzzh. Suddenly the book let out an unearthly humming and began to vibrate while making their surroundings darker and darker. Huh! Michael's eyes opened wide when he saw a familiar symbol appear on the book's cover, L. Soon, a puff of smoke emerged from the book and transformed into a key and an old piece of paper. "What is it?" Gaia grabbed the piece of paper while Michael grabbed the key and put the book back into the system's storage. She then opened the piece of paper and stared at it. "Human, it's a map of the dark forest." Her face became clouded when she mentioned the dark forest. He could see the gloominess in her eyes, and the words dark forest alone irked him differently as he couldn't describe the feeling. "Is it pointing towards somewhere?" "Yes, to the middle of the dark forest." He took the paper from her hand and saw the symbol of L marked on the middle of the dark forest. The mark of L piqued his curiosity because it seemed like the exact L he left after killing the wanted criminals as Lucifer. He couldn't believe this is a coincidence and wanted to go to the place on the map. "Let's go there now." "Human, no." Gaia quickly grabbed his hand and stopped him. Her tone was filled with unwillingness and terror. "Why? Are you afraid of the dark forest? Who doesn't?" Even the most powerful cultivators avoid that evil place as usual. Abras was taught nothing about the Dark Forest and Michael had to depend on Gaia to know more about the Dark Forest. And why is that? Normally she would make fun of him for having a lack of knowledge and self-praise her before answering him, but now, she looked like she is not in the mood for jokes. Because that forest is evil and haunted as hell. Only a few entered the Dark Forest and they never came out of the forest alive except 1 inch. What happened to him? He lost his mind and killed himself a few days after, that's what happened. Interesting, let's talk more on the way, Michael said and took out the flying sword. The fuck? Didn't you hear what I just said? She tried to stop him but he already jumped on the flying sword ready to fly towards the Dark Forest. If you are so afraid then you can go to the sect and wait for me, he said, but he knew she would come with him despite her fear of the Dark Forest. Normally he would have also felt reluctant to enter this place after hearing Gaia's warning, but the symbol L piqued his curiosity and the abundance of badass points gave him the courage to do so. She breathed heavily and looked hesitant to jump on the flying sword. Yet, after a few moments, she gritted her teeth and decided to venture into the Dark Forest with him. I'll definitely haunt your ass forever if I die there. You can't haunt the ghost. Ha ha ha, he chuckled and took off with Gaia. Luckily the system marked the location of the L in his environmental scanning map and therefore, he didn't need Gaia to show the way. Hey, where did you learn to fly like this? She had to hug him from behind not to fall down because of his flying speed. They flew like a bolt of lightning. From Sadie, Gaia pinched him when she heard his answer, making him laugh out aloud. If I see you banging that slut again, I will burn her alive. Why? Are you jealous? Because I don't like her, you jerk. Do you know a way to hide your cultivation level? At least until you reach the core strengthening stage, obviously. It would raise questions if a mortal girl turns into a core formation stage cultivator in a single day, and Michael didn't want to attract the attention of the Guardians or Zanali. I know a spell that would mask my current cultivation level and make me look like a body refining stage cultivator. How reliable is this spell? Can Zanali or anyone find out your real cultivation level? Don't worry, it's an epic class spell. Only cultivators above the soul refining stage can see through the spell. Great. I will tell the people that I gave you a 10,000 years old black lotus to revitalize your meridians and increased your cultivation level. Makes sense. As an alchemist he knew the medicinal qualities of all the herbs in this world, and black lotus was a rare flower that's used to revitalize the meridians. It would transform a mediocre cultivator into a genius. By the way, human, how did you heal me? I transferred some of my soul energy into your meridians and nearly died. Oh? She embraced him more tightly, thinking about what he did for her. Thank you, human. Chapter 93. There it is, the Dark Forest. After a few hours of flying away, the Dark Forest appeared in their eyes. Gaia stuttered in fear and Michael didn't blame her because the sight freaked him out too. He halted flying and floated there without moving any further. When Gaia said Dark Forest, he didn't expect the forest to be literally dark. Back on Earth, the tallest tree was 115 meters tall, and in the Dark Forest, each tree seemed 100 to 150 meters tall. Each tree looked gigantic and the mist around the Dark Forest gave out a dreary atmosphere. Above the Dark Forest, the stormy clouds and cracks of lightning added another layer of terror to the forest. There was nothing beautiful about this forest but terror. Human, do we really have to enter that evil place? Can't we just go back and call it a day? He had never seen her terrified like this before, as she was shivering, stuttering, and sweating continuously. He was familiar with Gaia's symptoms. If you are so afraid, hold me tight, he said, and slowly flew forward as clasts of thunder reverberated the area. Warning! The firewall is failing. What? Suddenly he heard Gaia scream and the warning sound from the system in his mind and quickly stopped moving forward. He then turned back and saw her mouth stuttering like she was in an extremely cold place. I saw. Something saw what? What the? He too saw something flash across him and disappear. Warning! The firewall is failing. Recommend the host to leave the area as soon as possible. The system found high traces of fear toxin in the air. Shit! The moment he heard the word fear toxin, he turned back and bolted out of the white mist. Man, you're just seeing things. Stay calm in front of him. He saw witches and old women on brooms flying around him. This was one of his fears buried deep in his mind. When he was 6 years old, he broke into the orphanage library and read Hansel and Gretel at midnight. Ever since then, He was afraid of witches and freaky old women. His mentor locked him with 20 freakishly dressed-up old women in a room for weeks to get him out of his fear. However now, the fear toxin brought one of his deepest fears and made him see old witches on brooms everywhere. "Hey, Mickey. You want some candy? Hee 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 hee. Come to Grandma." He then soon began to hear screeching voices. "I'm hallucinating. Ah, go away." From behind him, Gaia started to scream and fired arrows into the air. "System. Want some candy?" Even after he opened the system, he still continued to hear the voices and saw the wrinkly old faces in front of him. "Where is it?" "Got it." He was glad to see the failed fear toxin antidote, and immediately grabbed it to add the one last ingredient to finish the antidote. "Hey, go away." Plop. Ah. He slapped Gaia on the back of her head to momentarily get her attention towards him. "Give me your poison." Her eyes were opened wide. He could tell that she's hallucinating and probably seeing something else instead of his real face. Now, because of the firewall, he was able to remain mostly sane. Fortunately, his shout snapped out of her hallucination for a second, and it was enough for her to retrieve and give him a tiny vial that contains her position. Shh! He didn't waste any time as he immediately poured the dark green poison into the antidote vial. The poison reacted with the rest of the antidote and let out a boiling sound. Just as she was about to completely lose her mind and aim her arrow at him, he poured the antidote into her mouth and forced her to swallow. Only then did he drink the antidote because he didn't want Gaia, a core formation level warrior, to go berserk on him in mid-air. Following the intake of the antidote, the old witches on brooms started to disappear from his sight one by one. "Come out, you ugly fucking lizards!" she screamed and continued to fire arrows at nothing but air. "Stop. It's all right." Both of them stood on the flying swords for a couple of minutes before the effects of the fear toxin completely disappeared. Gaia slowly lowered her bow and started to see things clearly. "What the fuck just happened?" "I told you, bastard, not to come here. Let's get the fuck out of here before it's too late," she urged him and grabbed his hand to fly away, but instead of flying away from the dark forest, he flew straight towards it. "Hey! Stop! Just shut up and come with me." Despite her strong protest, he didn't back off because after being affected by the fear toxin, his curiosity reached the next level. He didn't activate the lightning dash but flew slowly and cautiously, expecting more traps. "We were poisoned and hallucinated, didn't we?" Gaia asked and tightly grasped her bow. "Yes, and we won't be poisoned again. I know all the poisons there is to know, but I have never seen such a dangerous poison. Good thing you had an antidote in hand, and speaking of which, did you ask for my poison?" Her memories when she was affected by the fear toxin were still blurry, but she could vaguely remember him asking her poison. "Your poison is the last ingredient I needed to finish the antidote. That means you were trying to create an antidote way before today, and you must have known about this poison, right? No one can create an antidote without having the full knowledge about the poison. How the hell did you know?" "Because I created it." The fear toxin, his grave voice stunned her for a moment. "You created it? Are you from the freaking dark forest? Is that why you have no knowledge about the outside world? Are you really a human or a fucking spirit? Holy shit, that's why you call yourself Ghost." She fired questions like arrows while Michael slowly passed through the outskirts and entered the dark forest. She became silent when they entered the dark forest. There was no sunlight or any light passing through the monstrous blackish trees and the thick canopy. The day became night, a misty bluish night, as they slowly flew towards the L that was on the map. "I can't believe him in the dark forest." She vigilantly looked around and whispered, "Cuss it." The sudden sound of a crow halted their flying, and when they looked up in the direction of the sound, they vaguely saw a gigantic crow with blood-red eyes through the mist. Shit! Just a second after, there were hundreds of blood-red eyes staring at them through the mist and sending a chill through their spines. What shocked them most was all these gigantic crows were at the body refining stage, and Michael could even see a body refining stage level 9 crow among them. "Even the crows are at the body refining stage, and this is just the border of the forest," she whispered, and didn't make any sudden movements to startle the crows. The crows slowly turned their heads and watched them while they were flying forward like sentries. The more they fly into the forest, the more dark and gloomy it got. The bone-chilling breeze, an ominous smell, gigantic webs of spiders, and occasional rattling sounds accompanied them through the forest. "Hey, look down, Bones." Through the darkness, Michael looked down to see bones lying around the ground. "How far do we have to fly?" she questioned. "Not far, we are near." In the environmental map,
He could see he's getting closer to the mark, but in front of him, there was nothing but giant trees. We are at the mark. He didn't land as the ground was filled with thick interwoven roots and which seemed like a net of thorns.
But there's nothing here, she was having mixed emotions. On the one hand, she was glad that there's nothing here as she could get off this evil place. And on the other hand, she was disappointed as she expected something more dramatic to happen. The key. Michael remembered the key and retrieved it back from his system storage. ZZZHHH. Few moments after he took out the key vibrated and let out a humming sound, but soon, the key stopped vibrating and remained still in his hand. That was weird. Human, take out that book. It was also Michael's thought as he took out the book. Boom.
The moment the book came out of his storage, a loud booming sound echoed through the forest and made all the crows in the distance fly away.
Soon, they noticed the roots above the ground and the mesh of thorns slowly moved away to reveal a black metal door with the mark L on it. I think that's the place. Gaia pointed out the door as the door let out a creaking sound and slowly opened. Both Michael and Gaia didn't utter a word, but they descended and flew down through the door. After flying down for a couple of minutes, they finally saw the ground and landed on the cold floor. Chapter 94. After stepping down from the flying sword, he shifted his attention to his surroundings and began to look around. Creak. Right after a few seconds, the door above them let out a creaking noise and closed itself. Fuck, now we are stuck, she cursed and menacingly looked at Michael like he was to blame for all this. Spit it out. Did you build this place too without telling me? What are you talking about? The fear toxin is my own creation. I don't know how it ended up here in such a large amount. The air was filled with fear toxin. Gaia deeply sighed and said, obviously you were only thinking that you created it first, but someone or something created it way before you. That seems to be the case, he said and began to walk forward while thinking about the fear toxin in the air and the mark of L on the door. The fear toxin, the mark of L, and everything in this dark forest seemed like they were all connected to his other persona, Lucifer. Gaia conjured a ball of green fire to light their way. While walking into what seemed to be like an underground shelter, they noticed the surrounding walls around them have dense cracks on them, and several stone columns already collapsed. It was clear that this place has already corroded by time. From the looks of things around them, Gaia was pretty sure that there is no treasure around them.
However, she sensed the high density of arch energy as it was at least several times stronger than the outside.
This place is perfect for cultivation. I think, whatever this place is has some kind of mechanism to increase the density of the arch energy. Michael nodded blankly and kept walking. He was more concerned about how the dark forest has the fear toxin and the mark of Lucifer. He followed the path in front of him and walked for quite a while until he saw a spacious hall with a large circular table in the middle. Welcome, Lord Lucifer. Suddenly a deep voice appeared. Both of them were shocked. They didn't expect there's actually someone inside, and Michael didn't sense anything. Moreover, the voice clearly said Lucifer. Lucifer. Gaia was confused and prepared for a battle as black smoke started to emerge from the table before them. Soon, the black smoke transformed into a middle-aged man. He floated above the table and then, he raised his hands and lit the torches around them. Michael tried to sense the cultivation level of the apparition before him, but he simply failed, and Gaia was not an exception. Who are you? Lord Lucifer, I'm Damien Duke, the last member of the Order of Death. This is the recording I made in the year of Procavia, star position Squalus, 3,000 years ago. Gaia instantly recognized the year the recording was made. She was stunned, and so was Michael.
We lost the war with the Guardians, the Supreme Guardian, and the Elder Guardians killed all of my brothers and sisters.
They destroyed all of our hideouts, and this is the last one, but they won't find this one as I made sure of it, Damien Duke said, and Michael could see the anger and sadness in Damien's eyes. If you're seeing this, it means the prophecy has begun. From the ashes of the Order, Lord Lucifer will rise, and with Lord Lucifer, the Order will once again rule the world. There was a fire in Damien's eyes when he spoke the words. Lord Lucifer, the Abyss will serve you as your home. Forgive your subordinates' incompetence for leaving you nothing. The Supreme Guardian and the Elder Guardians destroyed all of our resources and secrets except the book that led you here. It's not much, but with the help of the book, you can rebuild the Order to serve you in your path against the Guardians and your enemies. Michael looked at the old book in his hand, and then he noticed the hollow that was shaped like this book on the table. If you're lucky, you can still find some of the ruins of the Order and pillage what's left of it. Also, Lord Lucifer, be careful. The Supreme Guardian and the Elder Guardians may even still be alive the time you watch this. I don't know whether they know about the prophecy or not, but if they do, I'm sure that they are still searching for you. I did my best to protect the abyss, but the beasts and the hell gas won't stand a chance against the Elder Guardians. Suddenly the apparition blurred and Damien's voice was abruptly cut off. Soon after, Damien's figure completely disappeared from their sight, leaving with more questions than answers. Especially Michael, he was still in shock and surprise. What he created to kill his enemies and earn experience points turned out to be a prophecy. System. Do you have any connection with this order? And how did they know about me 3,000 years ago? System level is too low to answer the host's question. Human, take a look at this. A few meters away from the hall, Gaia called out for him. While thinking about everything Damien said, he came to Gaia and received another shock.
Lucifer. He mumbled and looked at the painting hanging on the wall.
It was the painting of his other persona, Lucifer.
In the painting, he was wearing a more enhanced and different suit of black armor, but the red eyes, as well as the skull mask, clearly indicated that the figure on the painting was none other than Lucifer.
I have a weird feeling that you know this Lucifer, human. Besides, he said the dark forest is protected by hell gas and beasts, but we saw no beasts on the way. And coincidentally, you said that you created this fear toxin. Michael could tell she's already started to suspect him that he's Lucifer. I'm Lucifer. Before Gaia could beat around the bush further, Michael revealed the truth to her. I knew it. Creak.
Following her shout, another creaking sound appeared and made them quickly turn away their heads towards the round table.
She showed away all her questions aside and vigilantly followed Michael behind to the table. When they came to the table, everything was the same except there was a throne in front of the round table. The throne resembled the Iron Throne except instead of swords, this throne was made of skulls and bones. The throne radiated an ominous aura that made her feel disturbed and slightly afraid. It was almost 2.5 meters in height and 2 meters in width.
She silently stared at him, feeling the skulls and bones on the throne as his lips began to curl upwards.
Then with the grin on his face, Michael sat on the throne and felt something powerful run through his body. Ding! Congratulations to the host. The abyss is now the host's base of operations. Ding! Congratulations to the host for becoming the Lord of the Order of Death. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring a legendary class item, the Abyssal Throne. The host's skill death range has upgraded to level 2. The system sounded in his mind and widened his grin.
He knew he can't change what happened in the past or what has happened to the Order or why did the Guardians destroy them. However, he can decide what's going to happen in the future as Lucifer and Ghost.
So are you going to tell me what the hell is going on here? Gaia came before him and leaned on the table. System, equip the Lucifer attire. Shit. The next moment, Gaia jumped back in shock because she saw Michael transform into someone else or something else in a flash.
Lucifer, she mumbled and stared at the red eyes.
Although she was a core formation cultivator now, she couldn't help but feel afraid looking at him in front of her. Who? Human, I'm Lucifer, he said again, but this time, his voice was inhumane and terrifying. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 1,000 badass points. He slowly stood up from the throne as Gaia stepped backward. She could sense the antidote in her body fighting against the fear toxin evaporating from his body and preventing her from hallucinating as well as feeling terrified again. What I'm about to tell you must stay between us. Because the suit made him somewhat look taller and bulkier, she had to slightly look up. Since she had reached 95% loyalty towards him, he had no problem trusting her. Therefore, he told her what happened to Vardan and the many criminals he killed in Sarton and Bradford. He obviously didn't tell anything about the system's involvement as he said he found the suit of armor in a cave during one of his travels.
After silently hearing everything he said, she let out a long sigh and looked directly into his red eyes.
What's our plan here, Lucifer? We are going to fulfill the prophecy. You mean? Yes, we will rebuild the order and conquer this world. I will kill anyone who stands in my way. Chapter 95. Inside the dark gloomy walls of the Abyssal, Michael leaned back on his throne after revealing his goal to Gaia. This was not the first time she heard him saying he wants to conquer this world, and after seeing the miracles he performed, she really believed he could rule this world. Give me the book, she asked for the book after taking a look at the book-shaped hollow on the table. Michael tossed the book and waited for something to happen as she placed the book on the hollow. Tap tap. Seeing nothing is happening, she lost her patience and dabbed the book a couple of times. Great. This thing is not working. It seems we have to rebuild this order from the ground up with no help, said Gaia. It's all right. We don't need any help from the people who were crushed by the Guardians.
"Give me your hand," as he said. He stood up from his throne and came to her.
She obediently reached out her right arm. He then took his knife out and cut her palm as she slightly flinched.
"Why did you do that?" Instead of answering her, he kept a hand above the table and let her bleed on the table for a couple of seconds.
"From this day onwards, you're my second in command. I name you the Queen of the Abyssal." There was shock, delight, pride, and shyness hidden in her eyes when she heard his words.
"I accept your offer. Human, besides, who else will put up with you except me?"
She quickly regained her composure and said. With a pride grin on her face, she walked towards the throne to sit as a queen of this place.
Auk! However, when she was about to place her butt on the throne, she was kicked away by a sudden force that emanated from the throne.
The force was so great that she lost her balance and came flailing towards Michael. "It seems you have bad luck with thrones," her hands wrapped around his chest as she could feel his hot breath. For a few moments, she lost herself looking into his red eye, and he lost himself looking into her radiant black eyes. He had never been in love or shared his life with anyone else before, but something about this girl attracted him towards her like a magnet. She was beautiful, brave, witty. Moreover, she was loyal to him. Both of them remained still very closer to each other, letting their hearts rule their emotions rather than their brains. "HRGGR." Michael cleared his throat and stepped back as she quickly tried to hide the red blush on her. "Ill. Go and check the place out." This was the first time he had seen her blush, and before he could fully digest this rare sight, she ran away from the hall. Back inside the Black Skull, Michael also gently smiled and went back to his throne. "Look what I found." After staying out of his sight for almost half an hour, she came back fiddling with 2 identical silver rings. "Why are you still on that creepy chair?" "Never mind. See this?" Since she couldn't sit on the throne, it became just a creepy chair to her. She tossed one ring to him and kept the other. "A space ring? Where did you find it?" "Not a space ring, human. An interlinked space ring. Anything you store in one ring can be accessed from the other. These space rings are extremely hard to forge, and these are not even marked, which means no one used them before." Considering she recovered her cultivation, it was time for him to give the resources she needs to cultivate as well as keep maintaining her lifestyle. Therefore he decided to put the gold coins in the space ring to share them with her. The interlinked space ring could only be accessed by no one except their owners, so he didn't need to worry about someone stealing it. Compared to gold coins, he valued badass points more, and no one in this entire world could steal them from the system. Also, both of them were not someone who would let someone steal the ring. "Gaia, what's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine." He claimed ownership of this ring by marking the ring with his arch-energy, and then he transferred all the gold coins into the space ring. "I like that," Gaia said and put the ring on her finger with a smile. "So what did you find other than these rings?" "Follow me." Michael followed her through the dark halls, passing a couple of empty rooms, and after a few minutes of walking, he came before a door that had the L mark etched on it. "I couldn't open this door. I guess only you can." Michael wondered how Damien was able to design this place to recognize him 3,000 years after. For now, he was glad that they were able to do this because this place is way safer than the Sunrise sect. Moreover, he could plan his moves freely without worrying about someone spying on him. Simply, this was his bat cave. Ketchak. The moment he touched the door, it shook violently and slowly opened. He could smell the ancient air coming through the cracks. The air had an extremely high concentration of fear toxin, and if they didn't take the antidote before, they would have ended up dead in a matter of seconds. Damien obviously assumed that the fear toxin won't hurt Lucifer, and technically, he was right, as Michael was able to finish the antidote. Thinking about the antidote, he couldn't help but feel thankful towards Gaia. If he hadn't saved her from the snake men in the forest, he couldn't have finished the antidote. Although it was highly unlikely he would have ended up dead, he would have certainly lost a huge amount of badass points to the system buying the missing ingredients. He stepped into the dark room, and when Gaia conjured the flame to brighten the room, he was disappointed as the room seemed nothing but empty. The room was not as large as the throne hall, but it was not small either. While looking around the empty room, he frowned when he noticed another small door at the end of the room. "What's up there?" "Probably another empty room," said Gaia and followed him behind to the door. "Wow!" His disappointment disappeared in a flash because he was startled by the sight after he opened the door. The sight was so stunning as his eyes and mouth opened wide. In front of him were a waterfall and a small lake. He looked up to see how there could be light coming, considering they were actually underground. Yet he could see the sky and the clouds. "This is a pocket dimension," Since she was a core formation level cultivator, she could sense the runes around the place and be able to recognize its true nature. Is it safe to be here? What if the pocket dimension cut from the real world? This was the first question that appeared in his mind. He quickly stepped back. It's perfectly safe. Once a pocket dimension gets attached to a place, it stays there. Not even an immortal could destroy it. This is definitely a work of a 5-star rune master and a talented one at that, he sighed in relief.
Looking at the beautiful waterfall as well as the blood stink coming from his body, he wanted to undress and take a long relaxing dip on the small lake before him.
In a flash, he entered the system's interface and unequipped all his armor except the black boxers he's wearing. Hey! Seeing him suddenly half naked, she screeched and turned around. You're fucking naked. Not completely, he laughed and dashed straight into the lake to relax. After all, he deserved a day off after all the killings and trouble he went through. How long are you gonna stand there and watch, you perverted snake? After a couple of minutes of swimming, he teased her to make her angry. I'm a pervert, says the guy who undressed in front of a girl. She wanted to kick his ass for speaking so shamelessly, but she ultimately smiled and walked towards him. There you go, hop in, the water is at perfect temperature. Don't mind me if I do, cannonbolt. Unlike he was expecting, she didn't change her dress as she jumped straight into the water cannonbolt style. Don't you have a bathrobe or something? When she emerged from the water, he asked. I left all the clothes I picked at the Phoenix Island, and now I need to go shopping again.
I hate that Maria bitch. Both of them soaked in the water and enjoyed the calmness of the place.
After a few minutes, she saw a smile on his face. What? Do you know what we need to make this place even more awesome? No, don't say it, a dragon. This is one of my calm before the storm chapters, and from the action-packed ride will begin. Also, I'm getting so many questions and comments about the FL. Well, I will reveal the FL in the Chapter 96. In faraway land from Breedia, a group of 4 people was kneeling in front of a monument. Other than the tall silver monument, there was nothing in the room. The only light came through the hole directly above the monument and encircled the monument. Say. All of a sudden, the monument vibrated and glowed as the entire room started to brighten up.
Among the 4 people, 2 of them were male and the remaining 2 were women, and one of the women had a long pointy ear and glowing gold hair.
They were all godlike existence in the world because they were at the fusion stage, only one stage behind reaching the half-immortal stage. However, despite their cultivation level, they were devotedly kneeling in front of the monument with their heads down. Soon a white smoke emerged from the monument and began to take the shape of a man, a white-haired old man. The 4 of them slowly looked up with eyes full of devotion and respect.
Elder Guardian, the 4 of them said in harmony as the old man let out a weak smile.
Behind his weak smile, there was a concerned despair and a hint of dread in his eyes.
Stand up, Guardians, you should only kneel before the Supreme One. His voice was soft, but at the same time, it sounded like an order. The 4 of them didn't disobey his order as they stood up to learn why they were summoned, because no one was summoned to this room in 1,000 years.
Guardians, I know what you're wondering. The old man looked at the 4 of them quietly for a few seconds and continued. Before I tell you why I summoned you all here, tell me what you know about the Dark Age. Each of the 4 had a different expression on their faces when they heard the Elder Guardian. And what do you know about the Dark Lord? The moment they heard the name Dark Lord, the expressions on the Guardians' faces changed dramatically. No one spoke a word for a few moments as they all blankly stared at the Elder Guardian like they didn't understand the meaning of his question. Soon, the woman with the pointy ears answered with a deep frown on her face. Elder Guardian, we all read the grimoire about the Dark Age and the Dark Lord, but... The pointy ears woman's voice trailed without finishing her inner thoughts. The 4 of them clearly didn't believe the stories about the Dark Lord, but they were afraid of telling the Elder Guardian yet. The Elder Guardian could see it on their faces. What you read about the Dark Age is real, very real. His voice was grave, and the 4 of them couldn't help but recollect everything they read about the Dark Lord in the grimoire. For a few moments, no one uttered any words, but one of the men behind the pointy ears woman slightly shivered in fear. Then the Dark Lord. After a long silence, the woman next to the pointy ears woman asked the Elder Guardian as he took a long deep breath before answering them. The Guardian Guild Library was one of the most secure places in the entire world. The library was separated into 4 levels, but only a few knew that there's another level, a 5th level. Apart from the 4 Guardians in this room, there were only 5 powerful people who had access to the 5th level in the library. Unlike the other levels, the 5th level had no spell scrolls or skill books, but it had just one book, the grimoire.
No one in the current generation of the Guardians knew who wrote the book, but it was mandatory to read the book after Guardian reaches the alpha level. The grimoire contained 2 chapters, one chapter about the Dark Age and the last chapter was about the Dark Lord. Although the book barely had more than 3,000 words, every sentence in the book described an age of darkness and horror. For an instance, the book stated that in the Dark Age, people would be stripped away of their free will and enslaved to one master, the Dark Lord. The Dark Lord is here somewhere in the world Guardians. Until now, the 4 of them thought the book was just something to keep the Guardians in the line by making them afraid, but now looking at the Elder Guardian's face, they realized the truth and felt a chill running through their spine. If what they had read is true, the Dark Lord's first enemy was the Guardian Guild and they couldn't imagine a world full of slaves who were stripped away of their free will. Elder Guardian, where is he now? The 4 of them immediately asked in alarm as they now knew the threat is very real. I cannot sense his location. Something or someone is preventing me from sensing his location. However, I can sense his powers grow by each day and he's already gained a powerful ally to aid him in his war with us. Elder Guardian, how can we help you? Just say the word. The entire Hunter Guardians are at your disposal. The pointy ears woman put her hand on the chest and said, the Sorcerer Guardians are ready to serve justice. One of the men who stood behind the woman stepped forward and did the same as the pointy ears woman. The Warrior Guardians are waiting for your command, Elder Guardian. The Beast Guardians are at your disposal, Elder Guardian. There was only a weak smile that could be seen on the Elder Guardian's face as he knew that no one in this world can stop the Dark Lord except one person, the Supreme Guardian. However, the Supreme Guardian had sacrificed himself a long time ago to keep the Dark Lord away from this world 3,000 years ago. The Supreme Guardian was not the only one who sacrificed himself for this cause, as all the Elder Guardians also made the same sacrifice except the one before the Alpha Guardians. Everyone in the Guardian Guild believed the Supreme Guardian and the Elder Guardians were still alive, considering they had all reached the immortal level a long time ago. Yet, the truth was not what they believed till now. Elder Guardian, if what the grimoire is real, then Elder Guardians and the Supreme Guardian can stop the Dark Lord again, right? Hearing the Guardian leader of the Hunter Guardians, the pointy ears woman, the Elder Guardian decided that this is the time he tells them the truth before he too passes away, because he was nearing the end of his life. You are confusing the Order of Death with the Dark Lord, Alpha Guardian. 3,000 years ago, we stopped the Order of Death, a cult with the purpose of serving the Dark Lord in his way to world domination. It's time you know the secrets we kept from the Guardian Guild all these years. Until 3,000 years ago, the world was controlled by a dark cult. They called themselves the Order of Death. They had people everywhere, even in the Guardian Guild. The 4 of them were momentarily stunned by the words of the Elder Guardian, because the Guardian Guild was the hardest guild to get into, as they had numerous ways to test one's intention and purpose before making someone a guardian. Therefore, when they heard the Guardian Guild was infiltrated by the Order of Death 3,000 years ago, they realized the true power and the reach of this cult. It took us almost 100 years to find out all the members of the cult before waging war on them. We lost many Elder Guardians in the war, but eventually, because of the Supreme Guardian, we killed all the cultists and destroyed everything they had. However, after we dismantled the cult, we eventually discovered that the cult believed, in the future, someone with godly powers will appear and begin the Age of Darkness. The Supreme Guardian called that someone the Dark Lord. For many years after the war, the Supreme Guardian went such lengths to confirm the information about the Dark Lord. There was a small pause in the Elder Guardian's voice as his mind recalled that day the Supreme Guardian shared what he found. That was the day the Elder Guardians had seen the Supreme Guardian frightened for the first time in their life. Even when he fought the leader of the Order of Valerian, the Supreme Guardian wasn't afraid, but that day, they saw the fear of God in his eyes. The grimoire you read is not just a book, it's the last words of the Supreme Guardian himself. The words that came out of the Elder Guardian stunned the rest of them, because they didn't expect the grimoire was written by their leader, the Supreme Guardian. And what shocked them most was the last part of what he said. Elder Guardian. Yes, the Supreme Guardian is not with us, not for 3 last millennials. And I'm the last living Elder Guardian. The day got even worse as they received another blow to their heart by the Elder Guardian. They didn't even know how to react to this grave news. Without the Supreme Guardian, how are we going to face the Dark Lord, Elder Guardian? Please guide us. The pointy ears woman imminently dropped to her knees and pleaded, and soon, they all dropped to their knees because they didn't underestimate the upcoming threat. A threat that was not only to the Guardians but to the entire world. You cannot face the Dark Lord alone. There's only one person who could defeat the Dark Lord. Who is he, Elder Guardian? My hunters will scour this world to find him. The Alpha Guardian of the Hunter Guardians,
the pointy-ears woman said with a newfound hope in her voice. The ring left behind by the Supreme Guardian has already found its new master. I can sense he's still young and he's in the Elon continent. Find him. Find your new Supreme Guardian before the Dark Lord.
The fate of the world is now resting on that youngster's shoulder. This was the Elder Guardian's last words before he vanished from their sight, and with this began the search for the new Supreme Guardian. At this moment, they had only heard very little about the Dark Lord in the Dark Age because the Supreme Guardian didn't write everything he had seen in the future. What he wrote and mentioned about the Dark Lord was just the tip of the huge iceberg. 3,000 years ago. He knew if he had written everything he knew, the future generations would have lost all their hope and courage to fight the Dark Lord and his army. He and his elder guardians sacrificed themselves to the gods to cage the Dark Lord in a universe where there were billions of planets with no energy to cultivate. He hoped the Dark Lord would be born and die on a planet with no energy, but even the gods that helped him couldn't stop the Dark Lord from coming to his world. Many of you have already guessed our female lead, but I want to confirm the female lead myself. Our female lead is none other than Sadie. Just kidding. It's our beloved Snakey G-O-I hey. Hail the Queen. Hope you all are happy with her being the FL, and if you're not, wait till you see the badass moments of Gaia in the future chapters. Chapter 97. At the moment, 3 figures were standing inside a temple atop a mountain. The lush green forests and the waterfalls made the scenery magnificent while giving them a soothing feel. If my guess is not wrong, they are planning to ambush us at tomorrow's prayer ceremony. The one who said this was a young man in pure white robes. On the youngster's shoulder, a golden-furred monkey sat relaxedly and munching on juicy red fruit. He was none other than Noah, and behind him, Alicia was standing in silence. It seems Uncle Levi hasn't no idea. Should we tell him? The youngster beside Noah said. We cannot alert anyone because that will also alert the assassin. He may be an enemy of the Cooper family from a long time ago. The Cooper family is one of the prominent families in Kethen, and they built this temple here. So I think the Cooper family would have some kind of protection for such a grand ceremony. Noah shook his head and explained. Quit worrying, Abel, we will take care of everything. Just keep these juicy treats coming. The golden babaroo on Noah's shoulder swallowed the last fruit and said as it turned its gaze at Alicia with a wicked grin on his face. I don't have anything for you to eat, Alicia coldly said, but it didn't stop the golden babaroo from jumping onto her shoulder. Ding, ding, ding. The ringing of a large bell resounded as soon as daybreak began. Warm sunlight shone on the big piece of land. The lights that struck some parts of the temple reflected off the building, as though a layer of the golden shield had covered it. The ringing of the large bell lasted longer than usual. It was because today was a special day, a day of the annual prayer ceremony. The second head priest of the temple, Levi, who was middle-aged and with red hair and a red goatee, came in person to invite Noah and his friends. The 3 of them followed him to the front of a big hall and stood beside a group of monks, waiting for the Cooper family members to arrive. Soon, a harmonious cloud appeared in the sky. On top of the cloud, 7 to 8 people were standing. Each of them was wearing a luxurious robe. The person standing at the frontmost was a little girl who was merely about 13 years old. She was wearing a silky red dress and her hair was tied into 2 pigtails. She looked extremely cute in her attire and had a face of an angel. Despite her little figure, she radiated a noble aura. It wasn't only because of her cute-looking face, but her cultivation level. A girl as young as her had already reached the body refining stage level 5. She was a God-blessed child. Holy! This girl is a body refining stage level 5? Abel's eyes widened, unable to believe what he had just seen. A body refining stage cultivator at the age of 12 or 13. There were only a few of them like her in this continent. She must have started cultivating while she was still in her mother's womb. This is Lord Cooper's daughter, Maisie Cooper. She is 13 years old this year and has just reached body refining state level 5. She is recognized as the prodigy of the Kethen, Levi explained as his words were full of pride and joy. Having a dazzling young genius in the Cooper family was truly something to be proud of. In truth, a body refining stage cultivator who was as young as her, not only would be a genius in Kingdom Kethen but also across the entire continent. The Cooper family is very fortunate to have such a genius, Noah said. Maisie Cooper and her family landed outside of the temple. It was a rule that they had to walk from outside of the temple to the temple. They were not allowed to do the opposite, which was landing on the internal part of the temple.
The rule was set to show respect to the god of peace. Lord Cooper and his wife, who were both core formation warriors, had gone to seclusion. Today's prayer ceremony would be led by the Cooper family's genius and the heir to the Copper family, Maisie Cooper.
It was the family's honor to have her represent the Cooper family, and she would be the most eligible to lead the ceremony in front of the head priest.
Maisie Cooper, along with 6 others, 3 of them were the same grade as her and 3 body strengthening stage level 3, and they all reached the top of the mountain after a few minutes of climbing the steps. Maisie Cooper bounced in the direction of Levi and hugged him the moment she saw him. "Uncle, I missed you so much." For a little girl, she possessed an inhuman strength. After wobbling her uncle for 2 rounds, Levi almost lost his balance. "Maisie, don't mess around. This is the temple." Levi gave Maisie Cooper a fond and affectionate look. Although he had become a priest, he couldn't help growing very fond of this descendant of the Cooper family. "Ha! Why are there so many outsiders here today?" Maisie Cooper glanced at Noah and the others in surprise. She didn't notice the monkey on Alicia's shoulder because the mountain and the temple were home to hundreds of monkeys. "These are guests. Maisie, go, kneel and bow down in front of the head priest. I will introduce them to you later. I believe you will like them," Levi said. "All right." Maisie Cooper hid her smile and returned to her serious face. She took big steps towards the statue. She was only 12 years old, but she was a lot more thoughtful than the other kids who were the same age as her. Boom!
When the little girl made her first step and was just about to make the second, a rumbling as if from thunder was heard outside, which shook the entire mountain.
"They are here," Noah squinted. The planned assassination was for the Cooper family, or perhaps only for Maisie Cooper. Yesterday Noah couldn't figure out the real intention of the assassination, but after seeing Maisie Cooper today, it all made sense to him now. An exceptional talent like her should be eliminated to clear off any obstacles in the future. "Who is it?" The smile on Levi's face disappeared as his face turned serious. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as Levi's voice faded, silhouettes of different people flew out from multiple directions towards the temple. There were about 20 of them. Many of them were at the body strengthening stage and the rest of them were all body refining stage level 10 except the leading man who was a core formation level stage 1 warrior. "Haha. It seems today will be the last time of Cooper family's annual Thanksgiving ceremony." A person laughed. He seemed to be in his 40s or 50s. He had a sturdy body behind his blue clothes. "Stefan, what is the meaning of all this?" An elder of the Cooper family gritted his teeth and said as hatred filled his face. "What is the meaning? You stupid old man. We are here to end your pathetic lives. The surrounding areas are all sealed, so don't even think about getting help from the Coopers outside," Stefan announced without trying to hide his true intentions and the killing intent in his eyes. There were 2 major powers in the city of Oxfell in Kethen, the Cooper family and the Lane family. As the saying goes, a forest cannot be ruled by 2 lions. These 2 families had been in a power struggle for so long, but the Lane family had never intended to raid the Temple of Peaceful Valley before. This was the reason that the Cooper family permitted Maisie Cooper to lead the prayer ceremony and did not send powerful warriors as her protection. They hadn't expected that the Lane family would launch a surprise attack on the temple, as this place was always considered a neutral area. "You gathered all these men just to attack a little girl. Lane family really has no shame." Maisie Cooper, the little genius of the Cooper family. "You have grown fast and I have to admit, your existence is a threat to the Lane family. Also, the Guardians are recruiting disciples. They have only 1 slot remaining. Thus only 1 can join the Guardians Guild. If you're alive, they will definitely choose you and the Coopers will be untouchable, but if you're dead before joining the Guardians, the Lane family will have 1 less problem in the future," Stefan smiled maliciously. Apparently, the Lane family had been preparing for this very day to come. They were informed that Lord Cooper and Lady Cooper had left for seclusion, leaving Maisie to attend the Thanksgiving. Therefore they would be able to get rid of Maisie Cooper in the temple while she was vulnerable to attack. Noah's eyes glittered when he heard of the recruitment to join the Guardians. He and Alicia were told not to reveal their identities as the Guardians trainees while they were in Kethen because Peyton already had enough mess to clean and didn't want Noah to make more. Therefore, if Noah wanted to save the little girl from getting killed, he had to do it without using the Guardians as his shield. Despicable. Levi's eyes were full of rage. "You people of the Lane family are really despicable to come to the Peaceful Valley with such ill intentions. Fuck you and your god. After I'm done with this place, there will be nothing but ashes." Then while the Coopers were searching for their lovely daughter, "We'll make our move and finish the Coopers, once and for all,"
Stefan was extremely cocky today. He wouldn't let anyone from the temple escape their deaths.
Go! Kill everyone! Stefan shouted.
The warriors of the Lane family unleashed their auras. One of the Lane family's body refining stage warriors broke the parts and decorations of the big hall and stepped on the head of the statue of the god of peace.
Haha! You all worship this useless god. This is ridiculous.
He mocked and landed on the statue of a man, the god of peace.
Boom!
A powerful aura suddenly rushed out from Abel's body and shot out in all directions. Both of his eyes turned red and stared at one of the Lane family members who was stepping on his god's head.
He had crossed Abel's line. It was totally unacceptable.
Get down this instant! Abel's voice sounded like a clap of thunder, and his words carried a horrifying murderous aura.
No one had expected that a calm and insignificant youngster would suddenly step out to fight.
All the attention was shifted to him, including Maisie's, Stefan's, and especially the one who was stepping on the statue's head. Chapter 98. Those of the Lane family who were placing their attention on their arch-rivals, the Cooper family, and also on Levi. Never once had they thought that a young man would get mad. As far as they were concerned, the ones that were provoked the most should be the Cooper family and Levi. They had zero clues why a nobody like him would get so furious about it, and the fiery aura unleashed by him shocked them. He was also at the body refining stage as the rest of the youngsters beside the little girl.
Ha! Who is this fool?
It seems the Cooper girl brought some friends of her own, but too bad. All of you have to die today, Stefan smiled coldly.
Abel didn't look at him.
Now he was full of rage and glared at the bastard who stepped on his god's head. He swore in his heart that he wouldn't let this person live.
Haha, kid, why are you so angry?
Do you want to see me breaking this statue with my feet? The body-strengthening stage warrior ridiculed Abel's pointless anger. His leg began to step harder, creating a creaking sound as tiny cracks started to appear on the statue's surface.
Noah and Alicia shook their heads helplessly. They felt pity for the body-refining stage. He was finished. No one on earth or heaven could save him anymore.
Come and die!
Abel roared. His whole body turned into light and raced to his target. An illusion of a golden chakra struck the man who was standing atop the statue.
The speed and power of Abel's attack made the man's expression change dramatically as he didn't have time to react. The impact of the ferocious attack sent the man flinging from the statue. In the mid-air, Abel gripped the man by his neck and slammed onto the ground below the statue. Abel had become like a ferocious beast. You dare step on our god's statue?
Die now!
Abel exerted all of his strength, and moments later, a sound of cracking noise emerged. The scene became quite gory. They were seeing a body-strengthening stage level 8 warrior struggling and screaming in pain under Abel's hold. Before anyone from the Lane family could make a move to save him, his entire body was torn in half as blood was pouring out from his body.
Hiss!
Everyone gasped in horror, especially the men from the Cooper family. Their eyes widened in shock. Everyone had underestimated the youngsters because of their cultivation level, but in reality, for the next hour, Noah, Alicia, and Abel could easily kill anyone under body-strengthening stage level 9. It was because of 3 reasons. First, the 3 of them were not normal cultivators, they were freaks of nature. Secondly, they had an epic class spell in their arsenal which boosted their power by multiple folds. The last reason was before they came to the temple, Noah and Alicia were chased by the hunters of Aragoth, and this made Noah concoct a rare pill that enhanced their power to battle anyone under body-strengthening stage level 9. The pill's effect would only last for 2 hours, and after 2 hours, they would be weak as foundation stage level 10 cultivators for 3 hours. However, after killing the Lane family members, they would be perfectly safe until they recover their strength in the temple. Abel's power was beyond the Lane family members' expectations. He was just at the body-refining stage level 6, the gap between him and the man he just killed was huge. The Cooper family members' mouths opened wide out of surprise. They didn't imagine a heaven-defying youngster like him had come to the temple. Judging by his means of killing, they instantly saw through that the Cooper family's genius Maisie was no match for him.
Fuck! Kill him! Kill everyone!
Stefan couldn't hold back his anger. The attack made by the youngster was too fast as he didn't even have a chance to save his underling. The Lane family had lost one valuable asset, a body-strengthening stage warrior. He was ordered to assassinate Maisie and everyone in the temple, but one of them was taken down before they could even attack their enemy. This fact made him very furious. Norvin, you know what to do. While everyone was momentarily stunned and focused on Abel, Noah handed over a dark red vial to the golden Babaru.
The monkey let out an evil grin and sneaked towards Stefan without making any noise. Crushing the statue. You have committed a mortal sin. None of you can leave today. I will cleanse your sins by taking all your lives. The fact he was on a super drug and Noah behind gave Abel the courage to take on them with no hesitation. Abel's tone was cold and serious. A thick murderous aura was coming out from him. He was unquestionably furious. Despite the fact he was studying to become a priest in the God of Peace temple, he was a cold-blooded killer who killed people without blinking his eyes. Now he couldn't stomach the fact that his god statue was being disrespected. I will get rid of you first. Stefan raged and thrust forward without noticing the tinge of dark red smoke under his feet. He was moving really fast, but a youngster in white clothes moved faster than Stefan and blocked his way like a ghost. If you want to kill my friend, you have to go through me first. The young lad in white clothes wasn't a stranger. He was Noah, 20 years old now, slowly turning into an adult and filled with heroic spirit. Fuck off. Stefan looked down on the young man that blocked him because the youngster in front of him was just a body refining stage level 8 cultivator. He couldn't find a reason to regard him as a threat as he launched a simple palm attack summoning strong wind towards Noah. Noah confronted the attack simply by his fist. Both attacks met and created an impact and a loud explosion. Lines of cracks appeared on the spatial area. Noah stood rooted at his position and didn't move, while Stefan stepped 3 steps back to find his balance. What? Stefan exclaimed and stared at the white-clothed young man with his big eyes. It was like he had seen a ghost. Both families couldn't believe what they just saw. Who is this dude? He is only a level 8 body refining stage cultivator, but how did he force a core formation warrior to back a few steps by just using his fist? The members of the Cooper family were amazed. A young man with extraordinary power who was more powerful emerged in front of them before they could even come out of the shock Abel gave them. Wah! Maisie's little mouth opened. That time when she came in, she had seen Noah, Alicia, and Abel, but she didn't pay much attention to them, treating them casually. She hadn't expected that they had hidden their powers so well. When Noah was at body refining stage level 4, he could kill anyone under body strengthening stage level 6. Now that he had reached level 8 and took the strength enhancing pill, killing anyone under core formation level would be effortless. In truth, Abel was never stronger than Noah even after he took the pill, but he was powerful enough to kill a body strengthening stage level 8 cultivator. Since the effects of the red smoke would only last for 2 minutes, Noah didn't want to waste any time as he decided to kill Stefan as soon as possible. He left the rest of the Lane family to Alicia, Abel, and Maisie to deal with, and the Golden Bobberoo was another trump card that could kill any body refining stage cultivators with its innate abilities. This young man, this is between us and the Cooper family. I hope you won't interfere. Stefan was staring at Noah. I can't just stand here looking at you attack a little girl and destroy the temple. If you dare to touch anyone or anything here, I will take your souls, Noah coldly said. Sparkling light rays emerged from his palm as he thrust in the direction of Stefan. Mythical ray, Stefan shouted. Strong winds blew as his palm moved. His eyes were red in anger. He couldn't believe that a core formation warrior like him could not defeat a body refining stage cultivator. Asterisk bang. Asterisk Stefan's eyes were filled with terror when the light rays from Noah's hand and his mythical ray clashed. It was one of the skills that he was so proud of, but it wasn't effective to Noah. His mythical ray disappeared the moment it clashed with Noah's attack. Again, he was pushed back and stumbled. He could only find his balance to stand again moments later, but the unpleasant feeling inside of him could not be expressed. Kill them all. Don't leave anyone alive. At this time, Maisie roared and rushed towards one of the body-strengthening stage warriors. Kill! The Cooper family screamed, intensely and excitingly, as they couldn't help but feel excited after looking at the turn of events. They thought that they were going to die today as the Lane family's number was overwhelming and they had no core formation warrior with them to face Stefan. They hadn't expected to see these 2 freakish youngsters. They were extraordinary rescuers, and one of them was even made a core formation level warrior to his balance. This was a big turnaround of the situation. Now they couldn't give their enemies any chance to live. Bang! In the intense battle, both parties were fighting with one another with their skills, wanting to kill as many as they could. Alicia and Abel quickly cast a layer of a seal as protection for the statue of Peace God. They were afraid that the temple was going to be destroyed by all the attacks and spells in the battle. Arg! Right after they finished casting the spell, a person screamed in agony. He was a body refining stage who was taken down by Maisie. Her little fist went straight through his forehead. It was as violent as Abel's. This little girl was emotionless after killing him. She possessed unlimited brute force, which was a rare attribute. This made her extremely stronger, and none of her peers who were in the same grade as her could match her strength. Levi and Alicia also attacked.
With just a sway of her hand, Alicia sent a couple of ice spikes at a body-strengthening warrior, and before he could put a defense spell around him, the ice pick pierced through his heart, instantly taking his life. Don't fret, my dear readers. Overwhelming badass moments of Michael coming on the way, and this is just me setting the stage. Chapter 99. Arg. Arg. The intensity of the chaotic battle increased, followed by more screams of agony. Abel and Maisie fought like a ferocious beast, as even some of the body-strengthening level warriors were not their match. Alicia was also scared the hell out of the Lane family members with her powerful spells. Each time she moved, she took a life. The battlefield was tragic. All the buildings in the monastery were almost destroyed. Blood vaporized into the air. A stinging stench of blood could be smelled everywhere. Such a massive battle happening inside the monastery did not alert anyone outside because Stefan had sealed the entire spatial area around the temple. In this intense battle, both parties suffered injuries and casualties, especially the Lane family, but unlike Stefan's initial plan, only a few members of the Cooper family suffered injuries. The Lane family had lost more than half of their group not very long after the battle had started. The remaining people were frightened to death as their fighting spirit had dropped to almost zero, while the Cooper family was just getting started. As for the battle that was happening between the two strongest men, Stefan was pressed on the ground and hit by Noah. One of his arms was broken and torn away from his body. Blood had soaked his clothes in a helpless situation. Although the weakening effects of the red smoke ended a couple of minutes ago, Noah had done a number on Stefan and wounded him as he could. When Stefan raised his head to look at Noah, he could see a very relaxed and easygoing expression on his face. He suddenly felt that Noah was toying with him. Noah could easily take his life at the beginning. How did this happen? Stefan spurted blood. Even until now, Stefan had no clues that he inhaled a cloud of smoke that weakened his cultivation level temporarily. He coughed up more blood because of the injuries he suffered, both physically and mentally. As for the mental part, he felt extremely miserable to be defeated by body refining stage level 8 cultivator. Master Lane, unlock the seal now, we can't fight anymore. Someone shouted at Stefan while fleeing for his life from Alicia, but his life was ended by Alicia the very next moment. The seal was supposed to lock the spatial area to prevent their enemies from escaping. However, the situation had changed. They realized that they had trapped themselves instead, with no way to escape from the place. The only person who could unlock the seal was Stefan. Stefan himself also couldn't stand the battle any longer. He summoned a talisman in his hand and threw it into the air. After it rumbled, the invisible seal in the spatial area disappeared. Stefan fled instantly, flying out from the battlefield. You damn kid, I will never forget this day, we will meet again. Stefan left a vengeful message and chose to flee. Too bad. Noah wouldn't allow him. If you have chosen to flee in the very beginning, I won't be able to chase you, but with your current state, fleeing is not an option for you. Noah's revealed a cold smile. At the moment when he struck Stefan, he had already given him the death sentence. Noah wouldn't allow a threatening enemy to escape from his grasp. Someone like him, a core formation warrior, would bring trouble in the future. Sling. Noah slashed with his sword and his slash sent a crescent-shaped wave flying straight towards Stefan. No! Stefan felt his life was endangered by the energy wave. It was too fast and strong to defend himself with his current state. Stefan screamed and tried to cast a defensive spell, but he was too slow as the crescent-shaped wave cleaved his body in two halves. What? Stefan is dead. We have to escape now. That man is too strong. Our plan has failed. Let's run for our lives. Stefan's death was a fatal blow to the Lane family's fighting spirit. From fearless fighters, they had become timid birds that flew away in all directions. Kill them all. Don't let a single one from the Lane family escape. Maisie ordered and chased one of them at lightning speed while swaying her fists in the air, crushing his head. Even though they couldn't fight them anymore, they still had the ability to escape. Despite the Cooper family and Abel frantically killing as much of them as possible, several of them managed to escape. To the Cooper family, this was an amazing battle that needs to be recorded. The Cooper family was supposed to be the prey, but in the middle of the fight,
They had turned the situation around and caused the Lane family to suffer many casualties, which included a core formation warrior, Stefan. The Lane family would really feel extremely disappointed, and at the same time, they would regret the decision of this attack on Maisie. The battle had ended, but they couldn't calm down. They were now staring at the demolished monastery. Fortunately, Abel and Alicia's spell protected the buildings from being completely destroyed by the battle. Many of them stared at Noah as this handsome and white-clothed youth was undoubtedly their savior today. They could imagine the tragedy that would happen if he did not help out today. Their lives would all be in danger despite the fact that Maisie possessed great talent.
"What's your name, big brother?" Maisie came to Noah's side. Her sparkling eyes were fixed on him. It was really hard to imagine an adorable girl like her had a violent side when battling, as ferocious as a beast.
"I am Noah Winston." Noah smiled and extended his arms to pinch Maisie's cheek. Noah naturally felt pleased when a sweet little girl wanted to find out about his name. "Praise the God of peace for sending all of you to help us. If not, the consequences would have been disastrous." Levi walked over. His words were full of gratitude. He felt very fortunate that he had invited these 3 guests into the monastery and gave them shelter, disregarding Noah's situation with Aragoth.
"Noah.
This name is somewhat familiar." An elder of the Cooper family tried to recall where he had heard the name before. "You are the one who caused trouble in the Western Dreadle." One of them recalled his identity and exclaimed when he saw the golden Babaru and the ice-cold beauty beside him. He heard that Noah had killed a disciple of Aragoth, which was very extraordinary. There was also an angelic beauty and a monkey that was always following him. Therefore, he found the connection between them and determined that the young man is Noah. "It seems that my name is well known, even in Kethan," Noah smiled calmly, confirming his identity.
"Wah!
So that Noah is you, big brother? I have heard the things that you have done in Dreadle. It was too awesome. I also heard you're the second best alchemist of the young generation." Maisie cheered. Her eyes stared at Noah in admiration, as though her eyes were blinking like stars. The little girl's words reminded Alicia the black-robed youngster who stunned everyone during the Phoenix auction fair. The killing intent she saw in his eyes and his disappearance without even a single scratch on him after facing Julia's attack gave her goosebumps.
"So you are brother Noah.
No wonder you were able to kill a core formation warrior. If it wasn't for your intervention today, our Cooper family would have lost our little miss. This is a great kindness to us. Please accept my gratitude." One of the elders of the Cooper family said solemnly. The others followed his actions and also showed their gratitude to Noah. They tried to think about what would have happened if Noah wasn't here and felt extremely grateful towards Noah for saving Maisie and them. Not much courtesy is needed. Big brother is one of us now. Maisie was very mature for her age. Despite seeing Noah for the first time, she didn't regard him as a stranger anymore and began to see him as her own brother. Noah couldn't help but laugh. This little girl did really have a good attitude and reminded him of his little sisters. Therefore, he liked her instantly. Here you know, Abel couldn't stand the situation anymore. His contribution on the battlefield was not meager, but everyone turned their attention to Noah, totally neglecting his presence. This is Abel. He is also studying under one of the Peace God's temples to be a priest." Noah quickly introduced him to Maisie. "A fellow priest, welcome to the Peace Valley, Abel," said Levi. Everyone's attention now shifted to Abel, including Maisie's. "What about me?" "If it wasn't for me gassing Stefan, Noah couldn't have defeated him." The golden Babaru rolled its eyes and complained. The members of the Cooper family were astonished as Alicia pitched the monkey's cheeks to shut his mouth.
"What a cute little monkey. What's his name?"
Maisie immediately reached her hands towards Norvin to pet him with sparkling eyes.
"Hey!"
Norvin tried to escape from being petted by the little girl, but Alicia grabbed him by his neck and handed him over to Maisie.
"So cute."
Maisie squeezed Norvin and rubbed his head while everyone watched the little girl with a gentle smile on their faces. "Big brother, you and I hit it off even if we just met for the very first time. All of you must come to our Cooper family and be our guest. When my mom and dad know about this, they will be more than thankful to you." Maisie's tone was aggressive and determined. It gave them a very hard time to decline her offer. "All right, since you're being gracious, we will definitely come with you," Noah said with a smile. He was very clear that once he entered Oxfell, he would be involved in the strife between the Lane and Cooper family. Although he had killed one of the Lane family's members, this wasn't the end and they wouldn't just leave it like that. He sighed inside thinking about Peyton as she told him to stay out of trouble, but he just did the opposite. So Brother Noah, are you going into the Nether Realm? While they were walking towards the main temple, Maisie asked curiously. Of course. Yay. We should go together. Noah was surprised, but he had no intention to stop the little girl because she needed real-world experience to hone her skills, and the Nether Realm was a perfect place to do so. Why is a little girl like you entering the Nether Realm? Norvin asked after getting tired of trying to get out of the little girl's clutch. Grandma said I will find a baby dragon if I go there. Eek, when she mentioned the words baby dragon, she squeezed Norvin more in excitement as Noah could tell Maisie's desire for getting a baby dragon. However, the little girl didn't know there is someone else also looking for a baby dragon and would do anything to get his hands on a baby dragon. Chapter 100. Finally I have some time to check my stats after taking a bath in the small lake in Abyssal. Michael and Gaia cleaned the place. Of course, Gaia protested to clean the place, but after Michael agreed to let her sample the dishes in the restaurant he's going to build, she did her part without bitching about it. Since Michael had no need to cultivate like others, when he returned to the sect, he hit the bed and took a long nap. Gaia went to the forest to practice her archery and hunt some wild boars. She planned to hand over her hunt to Raylene and stuff her belly as usual. He was alone in his room and entered the system the moment he woke up. System version 2. 0 host. Michael cultivation level. Body refining stage. Level 10 experience points. 180,000/200,000 badass points. 78,000 skills and spells. Wind Blast, LVL2 Responsive Shield, LVL3 Environment Scanning, LVL2 Ignitia, LVL1 Lightning Dash, LVL1 Energy Devour, LVL1 Death Range, LVL2 Techniques, Swords of Destiny, 80% Mastery Occupation. Core Disciple of Sunrise Sect, the Guardian of Sunrise Sect, Lord Lucifer of the Abyssal Status. Healthy Goals. Control the world, rebuild the Order of Death. Utility. Function, Banker, LVL2. Ratio, 1,000 gold coins. 5 badass points. Wealth. 685,000 gold. Special trait. 5-star alchemist subordinates. Gaia, loyalty level 95%. Base of operation. Sunrise Sect, the Abyssal. He almost forgot he checked his stats after taking the pain inducer pill. The pain he felt at that time was the reason for his negligence. First things first. System, how much I owe you? 22,000 badass points. Host. Take it and make me debt-free. He didn't feel upset or bad to see 22,000 badass points fade away in a second, but on the contrary, he felt relieved. Now that he's debt-free, he could take another loan if ever needed it. Let's do some upgrades. Ignitia. He selected his main offensive spell and stared at the upgrade details. The next upgrade would cost him 8,000 badass points, and after upgrading it, he could fire lightning bolts from both of his hands. Plus, the power of the lightning bolts would double, as anyone under body strengthening stage level 8 would be severely injured or killed in an instant if they didn't cast a powerful defense spell to defend themselves from the lightning bolts. System, upgrade the Ignitia to level 2. Good choice, host. He was now quite familiar with the system's occasional human-like comments. He watched the badass points drop from 56,000 to 48,000, and it was totally worth it as far as he was concerned. Then he gazed at another one of his main spells, Lightning Dash. Ever since the assassins tracked his moves when he was using the Lightning Dash, he wanted to upgrade the spell. Because Lightning Dash enabled him to move extremely faster than his enemies. He utilized this speed to attack his enemies before they could even react or cast a defense spell. After upgrading the Lightning Dash to level 2, he could use it with the Ignitia as usual to become literally untouchable in a battle. System, upgrade it to level 2, in a flash. Another 10,000 badass points disappeared, leaving him with 38,000 badass points. With these two upgraded spells, anyone under body strengthening stage level 8 had no chance of surviving a battle with Michael, but he wanted to increase his power further to the point that he wanted to kill anyone in the body strengthening stage with not much trouble. Of course, while he was on Lucifer's persona, no one in the body strengthening stage could match him because of the fear toxin and death range skill. Do I have to buy a new spell? Michael asked himself and began to rummage through the system's store, but not a single spell appeared to be a must-have or increased his strength. Therefore, he decided to find or buy a new spell and learn it through the mentor function without spending any more badass points on spells. Open the subordinates window. Right after he exited the system store, he entered the subordinates window with two people in his mind. One was Jack, who had the trait of blacksmith, and Raylene, who Michael guessed would have the trait of a chef considering her cooking skills. Both of them would be good investments to him, especially Raylene as he was about to open up a restaurant to make more gold coins. System: assume Raylene has the trait of a 1-star chef. How many badass points it would cost me to make her a 3-star or a 4-star? 10,000 badass points to upgrade her ability to 3-star chef and 15,000 badass points for the latter. Alright, what about Jack? 30,000 badass points to turn him into a 3-star blacksmith and 40,000 to turn him into a 4-star blacksmith. Remember host, 3-star blacksmith cannot forge anything above medium quality rare. If you want your subordinate to forge you a high quality rare weapon, you have to make him a 4-star blacksmith. What about epic weapons and legendary weapons? Epic weapons can only be forged by a 5-star blacksmith and legendary weapons require a 6-star blacksmith who must be at the core strengthening stage. Makes sense. For now, I'll only take Raylene as my subordinate and make her a 4-star chef. The reason for the cost difference between turning Raylene into a star chef and Jack into a star blacksmith was the latter had the ability to increase one's power, unlike a chef. Fortunately, the low cost of making Raylene a 4-star chef worked in his way as he was planning to build not just one restaurant but restaurant chains all over this world. Other than the high cost of making Jack a 3 or 4-star level blacksmith, he wanted to enter the Nether Realm and search the realm for a better weapon. Since he already bought the Lucky Cat Tavern, a chef to cook delicious food took the top place on his priority list. Should I make her a 5-star chef? Yes, you should host. It's only 20,000 badass points. The system sounded very excited but Michael hesitated because of Raylene's safety. He wouldn't always be around to save her if someone tried to capture her because of her talent. Therefore Michael wanted to know Gaia's thoughts before deciding because she would know more about the chefs and their demand in this world more than him. He exited the system and jumped down from his bed to check out his herbal garden. It was time he had new pills and potions to the store other than the revitalization pill, healing potion, and arch energy boosters. Just as he was about to step out of his house, he saw Gaia dragging a huge wild boar and when she saw him, she waved and smiled at him. She then picked out the arrow that was sticking out of the boar's head. I want this boar roasted. Where the heck is Raylene? Walk with me, he said and began to walk in the direction of the herbal garden as Gaia followed him behind reluctantly leaving the boar behind. What do you know about star chefs? What star-level chef are you talking about? Tell me about a 4-star. They are hard to find but not impossible. Back in Nagaland, we had 2 4-star chefs. Now that you reminded them, I'm craving for some lamb chops they used to make me. Even after she was healed, she still continued to eat like usual. This very morning she ate 2 pies and a whole lot of biscuits before going into the forest to catch something for lunch. Don't tell me you're also a 4-star chef. Michael shook his head with a soft smile as she sighed. Then what about the 5-star chefs? She became very curious and wanted to know why he was asking about the chefs. Those bastards are very rare. Just as rare as a 5-star alchemist. There's only a couple of 5-star chefs in Elon. I heard there's one in the Royal Land and one in the main branch of Ruby Cuisine in Kethan. The Ruby Cuisine was the restaurant he met Peyton and Zanali and offered to join the Guardians as their trainee. Let's assume Raylene is a 5-star chef. Do you think someone will try to kidnap her? His words made her halt her steps and frown. She sensed he's up to something and wanted to know what. Are you hiding something from me? She valued honesty in this friendship and didn't want any secrets between them. That was why she decided to reveal everything about her over a slice of juicy boar meat. Except for the existence of the system, he too wanted to share everything with her because she regarded her as his best friend and partner in crime after she reached 95% loyalty. After seeing Damien and hearing about the prophecy, he had a feeling that there's something more to his transmigration from the earth. His instincts told him that soon he would learn more about his transmigration and at that time, he didn't want it to be a secret between them that might break her trust. Also, if you tell Gaia that you and Abraz are the same person, the system will deduct badass points. Abraz is a textbook beta and the system does not want the host to accept a beta persona. Just as he was thinking about what to tell her and what not, the system sounded in his mind. It was a tone of warning and he could feel the gravity of the system's warning. Fortunately, he had a perfect cover story that had a mix of truth and lies that would perfectly make sense to Gaia without exposing his biggest secret, the system. It's time I tell you who I am and where did I come from. Chapter 101. We are alone. Now tell me about your past. The two of them were at one of the mountain peaks of the Sunrise sect, alone. Sitting on the edge, they could see the entire Sunrise sect and even the river town in the distance. Michael used the time he spent getting to the mountain peak to piece all the lies and truths together so she wouldn't doubt him.
Looking at her face, he took a long deep breath. What I'm going to tell must stay between us. You can trust me, human, I'm your friend. It wasn't a surprise to Michael seeing the sincerity in her eyes. After all, she reached 95% loyalty. Besides, Michael regarded Gaia as his only friend nowadays. I'm not from this world, Gaia, I came from another world. What? You're kidding me, ha ha ha, hilarious. She began to laugh, and it was obvious that she didn't believe his words, but her laughter faded away when she stared at his serious face. You're serious? She asked with a shaky voice as Michael nodded. Yes, I was brought here from my world by a mysterious light. Michael saw the confusion on her face and continued. After the light brought me to a place called the Sanctuary, where a group of people protected the cosmic stream. Gaia finished his sentence and began to shiver with no control over her body. For the moment Michael ignored her shock and went on. When the light brought me there, the sanctuary was burned to the ground by the soldiers of Wuxia. One of the men they killed looked just like me. His name was Abraz. Before he died, with the help of that mysterious light, he merged his soul fragment with me, leaving all his memories and knowledge to me. Except for the part about the mysterious light and the truth about his original body, what Michael said was true. Gaia stared at him blankly for a few moments in silence and analyzed everything she just heard in her mind. First of all, he didn't look like he was lying, and the more she thought about this, what he said made sense. Most people in the world had no clue about the sanctuary and the cosmic stream, and only a few people had heard about the two, but they considered it as a myth. However, the ancestors of the Nagas believed in the existence of the cosmic stream and the sanctuary. Some of the ancestors were somehow able to leave clues about their existence and the treasure they were protecting. The Nagas also believed the sanctuary was home to countless secret long-lost knowledge, and only the protectors were able to grasp this wisdom. By taking all the memories of Abraz, Gaia believed that Michael was able to get hold of this ancient knowledge. Hence, he was able to heal her crippled cultivation and perform many unbelievable feats. System, do me a favor. Gaia saw him close his eyes for a moment and then open after a few seconds. Close your eyes. Gaia felt his warm hand on his shoulder as she closed her eyes. The very next moment, she felt a hot surge in her brain as she started to experience Abraz's betrayal and pain. With the help of the system, Michael made Gaia feel what he feels. Ah! Soon, Gaia's body twitched violently as she roared in anger and pain. Michael was able to control his anger and pain because of the many years of training and meditating, but she had no training. Therefore, when Michael made her feel Abraz's pain, she lost her mind for a few moments because of the immense grief and anger. Following her mad roar, she started to bleed through her ears and nostrils. Michael withdrew his hand and waited for her to break out of this misery. Is this how you feel? He saw her teary eyes and heard her stutter. Yes, Abraz and I may be two different people, but when the light merged his soul fragment with mine, I have not only his knowledge and memoirs but also his pain, grief, anger, and all of his feelings. Before he left this world, I promised him I'd avenge him and his people, no matter what. How are you still here and not on Wuxia? Since Gaia felt Abraz's feelings, she wanted to burn the entire Wuxia to the ground and rip Layla into pieces. Because I'm not stupid. Wuxia seized the cosmic stream, which means they have a powerful source of energy in their hands. The only way to get my revenge is to become stronger than King Wuxia, and then, I will take everything from him. We will take everything from him, human. She squeezed his hand and decided to avenge Abraz together after experiencing his emotions. But the longer we wait, the stronger they grow, human. We should act sooner rather than later. She feared that with the use of the cosmic stream, the king of Wuxia and all his men would grow exponentially stronger and become impossible to kill. The cosmic stream is a source of pure energy, much more powerful than the arch-energy, but although he has the cosmic stream, he can't absorb its energy continuously, unless he wants to explode into million tiny pieces. Still, his cultivation speed would be insane. Yes, but don't forget I have a war god body, courtesy of the mysterious light. Let him have his fun with the cosmic stream for now. They fist bumped and grinned devilishly. Did you see the mysterious light you were talking about again? Since she believed he told her everything, she felt happy. She could tell that he trusts her as she trusts him. No, after Abraz's soul fragment merged with my soul, I woke up days after near the forest of the river town. You know what happened next? You saved me. She grabbed his hand and held it against her chest tightly. Even to this second, she could close her eyes and recall the first time she saw him vividly in her mind. At that time, she didn't know he would be her savior and best friend. Both of them came a long way since then, and now, they were like a nail and flesh. Will it hurt you to turn Raylene into a star chef?
The last time you used your knowledge to heal me, you almost died. He could sense the concern in her voice and it warmed his heart because no one ever worried about him before. He wanted to treasure this feeling and her friendship. The arrogant haughty snake is his best friend now and he would do everything to protect her and he knew she would do the same for him. Don't worry, it won't, but you have to keep an eye on her when I'm in the nether realm. We don't want to lose our head chef, do we? I'll take care of our business while you're away. Human, and speaking of human, is Ghost your real name? I will tell my name when you do something nice for me. Until then, you have to call me Ghost. You ruined a perfect moment, bastard, rolling her eyes. She punched him on the shoulder seeing she failed to know his name. Also, while I'm in the nether realm, you have to kill these people, Lucifer style. Michael retrieved a list of criminals in his list and their whereabouts and handed it over to Gaia. He wanted to spread the legend of Lucifer around the kingdom more so people would come to believe him as a vigilante who kills the criminals and cleanse the kingdom of the sinners. Kill 8 random criminals and 2 enemies of our own and people would think that 2 is the victims of Lucifer rather than the enemies of Ghost. Nice plan. Do you want me to dress as Lucifer too? I have something for you. Michael closed his eyes and entered the system to get her something awesome like his suits of armor. I put the armor you should wear in our space ring. A few seconds after, Michael opened his eyes and said. The suit of armor he chose for her was none other than a female version of his Lucifer armor. It cost him 5,000 badass coins to buy the new suit of armor for her, and now he had 33,000 badass points remaining. Cool. I also put a few bottles of fear toxin inside. Remember to apply the fear toxin on the suit and leave no evidence behind except the mark of Lucifer. Finally some action, excitement filled her eyes and she couldn't wait to hunt some criminals at night like her friend. We should go now, since he told her everything she has to do while he's in the nether realm. He could enter the nether realm with no worries. For now, the only things he had to do was turn Raylene into a 5-star chef and start his first high-end restaurant as well as making new products for the Majestic. As for the interior and the design for the restaurant, he had Ristorante La Sponda in Italy in his mind. He dined in this fine restaurant when he was on a job in Italy and liked the elegant atmosphere. Plus the Lucky Cat Tavern was a perfectly suitable place for this makeover. During the daytime, Gaia could put together a group of talented builders to achieve his vision and continue to renovate the sect. Now that I'm finished establishing the backstory and necessary fillers, I can jump onto the juicy action part. Nether Realm Arc/Lucifer will begin from the... Stay tuned. Chapter 102. From the earth comes the bounty of diversity. The herbs were rising toward the sun, showing off their lush green and sparkling colors as if they were in a carnival parade. The green herbs made a green quilt for the senses upon the flower bed. Michael's herbal garden was a sort of binary. The neat areas were very, very neat and the wild areas were very, very wild. The two extremes right next to one another enhanced one another. The garden was neither too small nor too big, but it was the size of a typical green. Because of the effects of the fertilizer Michael got from the system, the herbs had grown quicker and healthier. Some herbs grew as tall as an average man while some flowers were as big as a 10-year-old child. Don't water the dragon root too much and Jack. Get away from the angel catnip. Elder Reiner, who taught herbology in the Sunrise sect, was walking through his new favorite place, Michael's herbal garden. He was supervising the disciples and ensuring the herbs grow as healthier as they could. Ever since Michael began to grow the herbs in the garden, the old shaggy land became a lush garden that filled the surrounding air with soothing therapeutic fragrance. While Elder Reiner was supervising the disciples, he saw sect leader Claire rushing towards him. Elder Reiner, have you seen Ghost? No dash. Jack. She didn't even wait for Elder Reiner to finish his sentence as she shouted at Jack. Are you searching for me, sect leader Claire? Just as Jack was about to point his fingers at the figures walking towards them, Claire heard Michael's voice and turned back. Thank God you're here. Why aren't you at the auction fair, and WHOA? When her eyes fell on Gaia, shock and surprise took aback Claire. The mortal girl who was following around Michael had turned into a body-refining stage level 3 cultivator in just a matter of days. Everyone except one person swarmed around Gaia like ants around a sugar cube. Michael stepped aside and let Gaia have her moment. He knew the snake loved attention and admiration. Claire and Elder Reiner stared at Gaia speechlessly while Gaia stood there with a smug face. Michael could tell she is itching to reveal her real cultivation level. How do you? I was lucky enough to find a 10,000 years hazel lotus on my way from Phoenix Island to here. He made me a potion using it and boom. My cultivation talents went straight up, said Gaia proudly. The hazel lotus was not a made-up herb but a real rare herb that could revitalize the arch energy roots in one's body.
A 10,000 years old hazel lotus could indeed make an incompetent cultivator into a genius, and although they didn't find the herb in truth, its medicinal quality helped the both of them come up with a story to cover up Gaia's sudden transformation. Come here. After Claire came out the shock, she let out a wide grin and reached her arms to embrace Gaia.
Hey, Gaia tried to step back, but her effort was wasted as Claire took her into her arms in a loving embrace. Oh shit! In the scene, the only person who seemed horrified and kept his distance from Gaia was Jack. Even when she was a mortal girl, she beat him on a regular basis. And now Jack couldn't even imagine what she would do to him. He cried inside and prayed to the gods. "Oh mighty God, please bless your child with enough strength to endure the beating he's going to receive." Michael chuckled inside seeing Jack praying, looking at the sky. "I'm so happy for you, Elia. We should celebrate this." Claire spoke while squeezing Gaia as she tried to wiggle herself out of the hug and threw a help-me glance at Michael. "Why did you want to find me, sect leader Claire?" Michael helped his friend by asking Claire. "Oh yes." Claire seemed like she remembered something important and let go of Gaia. "The Nether Realm is not opening next week. They are opening the gates today." "What? Why?" Gaia asked as Claire sighed. "I think it's related to the recent Netheril attack in River Town. Summoning the Netherils may have weakened the layer between our world and the Nether Realm. However, it doesn't matter why. If you want to enter the Nether Realm, go to Sarton now." "Then I guess I'm leaving now." Michael had good feelings about the Nether Realm and wanted to steal all of its riches. "Girl, are you planning to enter the Nether Realm with him?" Elder Reiner looked at Gaia and asked. "Nah, he can have this one." Considering the Nether Realm has security measures against people who were above the body refining stage, she didn't dare to try to enter the Nether Realm. The last time when someone tried to enter the Nether Realm hiding his body-strengthening cultivation, he was turned into ashes the moment he stepped into the Nether Realm. "Brother Ghost, watch out for the Broad River sect. They tend to pick a fight with our sect every time we enter the Nether Realm," one of the female disciples said and drew Michael's attention. "Lena!" Claire's shout immediately made the girl shut her mouth before she could say more. "Are we forgetting who he is, sect leader Claire?" Elder Reiner asked Claire, and his words reminded her of Michael's position as guardian. "Broad River sect, huh? They are from Sarton, right? What's their beef with you guys?" Gaia curiously asked Claire. "No reason, they just like to bully our disciples whenever they get a chance like everyone else on Earth. People needed a reason to become enemies, but in this world, cultivators tend to follow the rule of the jungle, the strong prey on the weak." Michael understood the meaning of Claire's words. Since the Sunrise sect was weak, it became an easy target for everyone to bully, and this Broad River sect was just another bully on the block. "Let's hope they will cross paths with me," Michael said with a calm face, but they could see the cold killing intent in his eyes. Killing them would be like hitting two birds with one stone for him, as he could earn experience points and declare to everyone that not to mess with his sect. Unlike before, Michael had a core formation level cultivator with him. Therefore he didn't have to worry about killing them. Only the big sects like Golden Valley or Morningstar had core formation cultivators for the inner and core disciples, but in a normal sect, elders or the sect leader would be the core formation level cultivator. Now that he had to leave the sect as soon as possible, there were still some things he should take care of. "System, I need a pair of long-range earpiece, 1,000 badass coins, and you can talk to each other across realms. I will buy those and add a transmitter on one of them so I can keep track of Gaia." "Sure thing, but it'll cost you another 500 badass points. Just take it and add her location to my environmental scanning." Compared to 500 badass points, her safety was more important to Michael. After what happened at the Phoenix Island, he didn't want to be in the dark again when she's in danger. Besides, he could use her help inside the Nether Realm because she told him that she entered it once. Also, if Jane tried to do something stupid again like sending assassins to kill him, he would be able to walk Gaia through what to do next. "I'll go see Raylene before I leave. Elia, come with me." "Yep," he nodded at Claire and Elder Reiner, and then, he gently grabbed Gaia's hand before activating the newly upgraded lighting dash for the first time. Whoosh! Literally in a flash, both of them disappeared from their sight. Before upgrading the lightning dash to level 2, one could see tiny blue bolts of lightning left behind after Michael disappeared, and now the blue bolts turned into gold ones. For Michael, he could feel his speed had almost tripled. "Eek, my head's spinning. Brother Ghost." Before even Gaia could steady herself, she heard little Cindy's voice and looked up to see the little girl throwing herself at Michael. Gaia couldn't understand why this little girl became so excited and happy every time she saw Michael, and he too seemed delighted to see her. "There you are." Michael pecked on Cindy's soft cheeks and lifted her up. Soon after seeing Michael's sudden appearance, Raylene rushed out of her house, which was given to her by Claire. Master Ghost, Ricky said you went to Phoenix Island.
Yeah, I did.
Cindy, go play with your friends, your mom and I have to talk alone.
What about Sister Elia? Can I play with her?
Cindy excitedly asked Michael. You can play with her later, now go play with your friends. Michael placed the little girl down and received a loving kiss on his cheek from Cindy.
Cindy then ran happily in the direction of her friends.
Raylene, come with me, hearing Michael. Raylene followed him and Elia into her house. It was time he made Raylene his subordinate. Even though the house was old and small, Raylene kept it clean and presentable. Gaia's nose twitched because of the delicious aroma in the air and suddenly felt hungry.
Raylene, do you trust me?
Michael asked with a serious face. The question surprised Raylene, but she took a deep breath and answered honestly. Master Ghost, you saved us and gave us a home when I and the children had nowhere to go. The food we are eating is yours. I have nothing to give it to you except my life if you ask for it. My life is yours. Without her control, Raylene's eyes became watery. Will you be my subordinate and serve me well?
Yes.
Gaia, surprised to see Raylene drop to her knees, asking no questions. Does the host wish to accept Raylene as a subordinate? Yes, subordinate. Raylene, cultivation level, race, human status, healthy trait, cook, loyalty towards the host. 97% right out of the bat. She was 97% loyal towards Michael, unlike a certain someone. He was happy to confirm her trait was indeed cook, and now he could turn her into a 5-star chef. While she was kneeling in front of him, he placed his hand on her head. I'm going to make you a 5-star chef and head chef of all my future restaurants and hotel chains. I will give you 30% of the profits and the resources for you and Cindy to cultivate.
Serve me well. Raylene was speechless and almost fainted on the spot. System, make Raylene a 5-star chef right after this. Gaia saw a bright light emerge from Michael's hand and cover the body of Raylene for a few seconds as she closed her eyes.
When the light disappeared, Raylene slowly opened her eyes and looked at Michael like she was looking at a god. System, I need the blueprint and the interior design of Ristorante La Sponda. He spent another 500 Baddest points and bought the blueprint and the interior design to transform the Lucky Cat Tavern into a stylish high-end restaurant. Here, put this in your ear. Michael then looked at Gaia and handed over the small earpiece to her. While she was staring and curiously fiddling around the earpiece, he took out the thin book that had the blueprint and the interior designs. Master Ghost Dash. Show your gratitude and loyalty in your actions. Michael interrupted Raylene with a wave of his hand and said. Raylene was still in shock, but the tears of overwhelming joy gushing out of her eyes like water breaking out of a dam. I will, Master Ghost. It took several seconds for Raylene to wipe away her tears and exclaim. Michael just nodded with a smile and disappeared out of her sight with Gaia. I want our restaurant to look like this. You can make a few changes if you want, in a few seconds. Michael reached the border of the Sunrise sect and handed over the book to Gaia. Just don't die, all right? She punched him in the shoulder playfully. I'll try. You're tuning in to the Wisdom Diary YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.